Let's look at the moves. Baker, what was that?
This is not FPL. This is a major.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Hotkeys Esports, where we remember when the Score Esports was an actual sports app that kept scores and didn't report on streamer drama. I'm one of your two hosts, Raider, and next to me, my constant co-host, my boy, please.
Dobon in the flesh, always, until it's removed surgically.
That's W shit.
It'd be a terrible time, but I'm an organ donor, so, skin's an organ. They'll take it at some point.
That's real. You're real for that.
Before
or
after it rots, they'll find the scraps and Frankenstein me back together to keep doing this. I don't know.
Just like Walt Disney.
Just like Walt Disney. He's walking around in that Mickey costume, I swear.
He's out there. But yeah, now we welcome to my favorite esports podcast, and the certainly yours too.
Hottest esports podcast on the planet.
Certainly the hottest, and with the most forethought. We got a fun big topic today.
It's a good one.
It is. It's one that's near and dear to my heart. It's fighting games. We had some stuff going on, and it's going to be a spicy one. It's going to be fun to dive into.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, as per usual, we got some events. Things are starting to ramp up. We're starting to enter the busy season because, esports never ends.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some stuff going on. You wanna start off? Are there any events you've been following? You wanna give me the scores? I got some too. So yeah, let's knock these out.
It's been a crazy week. It's all kind of coming to a head before the holidays. Everybody's got to get back home to their families and discuss their career choices with family members that may or may not be more successful than them. Like, you play video games for money? It's like, yeah, Aunt Kathy, I'm signed to a team. I make more than you make in a month.
What's harder? First question of the episode, because I love a good hypothetical. Is it harder to explain to Kathy, Miss Aunt Kathy? Is it harder to explain to her that you're a VTuber or a professional video game player?
VTuber by far.
Okay.
I think VTuber by far. We're still at 0 on the count, by the way.
I'm not until I have a good reason to reset. We're just gonna roll. It's fine.
That's fine. Works for me. Yeah, no, I feel like VTuber's harder. It's like they'll understand a YouTuber, but it's like you have to explain that you don't actually.
You're also an anime person.
Yeah, because you'll show them your profile. It's like, but who is that? And it's like, that's me. It's like, why do you look like? It's not what you look like. It's just
Kathy. It's a character.
Yeah, you ever see anime Kathy?
I'm like Tom Cruise, but like a cartoon.
They think that I'm Tom Cruise. Someone's VTuber name should be Bobby with that tool, and it's like a Bob the Builder reference, and not actually Bobby Shmurda. I think that'd be a good double entendre. Is that our mascot now? Is that our new mascot? I don't know. Leave in the comments below if you want Bobby with that tool.
We could sell that bit to Majin Obama for $10, I guarantee you.
A Majin Obama sponsored stream like that would be crazy. Where we just put him in a getup, call him Bobby with that tool for an episode, have him enter a tournament, and just run the circuit as Bobby with the tool. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Holidays are coming up. Everybody's kind of going back home, except in Dota. They're all playing Fissure Playground, I think is what it's called. Or Playing Ground, something like that. FPG is going on, and it's coming off the heels of ESL 1 Bangkok, which was insanity.
Okay.
Who was it that won? Perryvision won. Admittedly, did not watch the finals because I watched the losers bracket finals, where Liquid, holy shit. Okay, that was probably the best game of Dota of the year. Almost no contest. Maybe you can make some. You could probably say Heroics victory at Wallachia season 2 or something like that was pretty hype because it's historical, which we covered in a previous video. Go watch it. But this one was just insane. It was Liquid versus Falcons. two powerhouses of teams. I don't know why they were both in lower bracket, but that's neither here nor there.
We're not here to judge seeding. We're just here to report.
I'm not here to judge their performance. I'm not a professional player. I'm not a coach. All right, I'm just a humble spectator that loves the sport.
No, we could be all of those things, though.
Totally, I totally could, but right now I'm not.
But right now we're not.
Yeah. Went to game 3. Ended off in a 77-minute game, base race.
Okay.
It was. Game went the distance. Everybody was playing out of their minds. If you're gonna watch anything from Bangkok, watch that game. Game 3, losers bracket finals, Falcon versus Liquid. Liquid clutch it out in the last minutes. Just camping their base like it was nuts. It was actually insanity.
Oh yeah.
But on the other side of that, the Shanghai Major just ended.
Yes.
And Spirit claimed victory. Congratulations to Team Spirit. Congratulations to Donk and everybody else on that team. I say Donk because he is very young. He is a prodigy at this game. And, everyone in Spirit is playing extremely well. They're a powerhouse team. But it's the buzzword. Donk won the major. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, they are also... Now, the organization is also one of 2 organizations to win both a TI and a CS major. I believe Liquid
That's
is the other
cool.
one. Right? No. Did Liquid win a CS major? Am I tweaking?
Yeah.
Might have been Navi.
No.
It's
Yeah,
Navi,
Liquid
it's
is not
Navi, it's Navi and Spirit. So
okay, that's cool.
Shout out to CIS region.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I mean, for sure.
Marvel Rivals had their tournament as well. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, no, I was saying C9 is the only American team to have won a CS major. Yeah.
And Stewie era G2 kind of counts, but
sure, yeah.
Listen, man.
We'll take the double we can get it.
Yeah, listen, that's NA representation winning a major. I'll take it. I will take it.
If JoJo wins Worlds, I'm throwing the American flag out.
There, Eagle Screech, right?
Yeah.
Listen.
EU carried. You're welcome.
We put them on our back. It's called soccer. All right.
What the fuck is a kilometer?
Yeah. I only know feet, mile, and yards. Said that out of order, but still.
Nah, W shit.
W. Yeah. Marvel Rivals just had their first tournament.
Yes.
I watched
the invitational one, right?
Yeah, they're having like a qualifier thing right now for it, but yeah, I watched some of that. Luminosity's in it, NRG's in it. I feel like a lot of I want to say bigger orgs because obviously those are pretty notable, but
yeah,
the more successful orgs, which is probably worse to say, but it's true.
Game's doing really well.
Yeah, I feel like they're
really huge player base.
They're holding out though, like the Liquids, the C9s, to kind of poach players afterwards. They're letting these other ones kind of develop and see what talent they're looking for, and
I think that's smart.
Yeah,
this game's got
definitely.
hype. Give it a few months, no reason to fucking acquire a team or anything now. Like, whatever.
So that's all hype. A lot of little fighting game things I've seen here and there, but we'll get into that in this episode.
Well,
Gato just got announced for Garo 2.
I did see that. Yeah, Gato.
Yeah.
He looks sick. That game looks so good.
That game does look really good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
What? That's all I've got. I'm gonna kick it over to you. What's happening on your end of the spectrum?
So, BLGS, the Apex Open Series, the BLGS Circuit, I guess, is more appropriate. Yeah, the BLGS Circuit, which is the Apex Legends Circuit that was hosted by Nicewig and Greek of the Beam Stream, has finally closed out in all regions. All of the regional finals have happened. We have all our regional final winners. You know who won regional finals in America? Team Liquid. Taking a dub over at the BLGS. Yeah, Viva Liquid. Central America represent, I think. I think it's Central America.
What country?
Could be South America. Could be Central America. Not sure.
What countries are they from?
No. Give me 2 seconds and I will fucking tell you. But while I'm looking that up, yeah, BLGS has concluded. Yeah, it was cool build up. I hope it yes, okay. Yeah, no. All right. So It is their team is Nazul, Higueras, and Karev. Nazul and Higueras are from Mexico, and Karev is from Argentina. So
Oh,
both Central and South. Argentina's South.
Mexico's
right?
North America.
Okay, but what's Central then?
Central is below Mexico. It's that like strip between, so it's like
Okay,
Nicaragua,
alright.
Guatemala, Costa
Fair enough.
Rica,
Fair
Panama.
enough. Okay.
Yeah.
So NA and Karev.
You can count
you know,
like
yeah.
southern parts of Mexico, like past the Yucatan, as like Central America too, I think. But
Fair enough.
Mexico's
Fair
north considered.
Okay. Well, NA and Karev, who's America's. But yeah, Liquid take home the regional final for North America. I believe it was Danish who took over Europe, Weibo who took APAC South, and then APAC North was taken by Crazy Raccoon.
I've been seeing more and more
Yeah.
of Crazy Raccoon pop up.
They're a big org now out in Japan, like a really big
Yeah,
deal.
I saw them a lot in like mobile games. Like they had a Brawl Stars player like trending because their Brawl Stars team is like Filipino or something like that. Some like random kid with like a wolf coat was like trending on TikTok because I don't know, they found him attractive.
They're big over in Japan. I mean, obviously they're a Jap org, correct? They're a Japanese org. But like they do all sorts of shit. Obviously they've got like esports stuff that they do. They have multiple teams. They, I believe, host like a Street Fighter team league out in Japan, like a literal like weekly one. Got really good players on their team over there. I know Dogura, Shudo, Kazunoko, and Bonchan, I think, are all part of CR.
Really?
Yeah, no, like they're a big deal. Like
They're on Apex team too, right?
Yeah, no, like I said, they won. Their team won the
that's-
Apex South for BLGS,
Dude, I'm
and
tweaking.
they have a crazy good team. They bought like a previous team. I can't tell you which Apex South or which Apex North team they bought, but like I believe they bought out a roster who is very good out in Japan when they decided to enter the scene. So they have a very good roster. But yeah, just sick tournament. I want to give shout outs to it because I think it being an open qualifier circuit is a cool shakeup in that game, in my opinion, just having this tournament. And it filled like a really good niche in the season because champs ended in September, or playoffs split 2 ended in September, and champs isn't happening until January. So without BLGS, there would be jack shit going on from October through December. Like 3 months of literally nothing happening in Apex Esports.
Crickets.
So yeah, like for them to work with EA to put together this open qualifier tournament that, you know, kind of lasts like 3 months, fun thing to look forward to, a lot of good fun games, you know, just general shit, and like give people, you know, I think I don't want to talk like too much specifics about it because I think when next month rolls around, we'll obviously have some like talk going into champs because I definitely want to talk about champs for Apex Legends, and I think we can talk more about what like the picture that is shaping up in the Apex scene based on the BLGS winners, because there's definitely some stuff you can take. You'll appreciate this last little thing about it. You know who got second in regional finals NA for the BLGS?
Let me hear it.
It is a team named Lone Sharks. Do you know what they were before they were named Lone Sharks?
They're an org that I know.
They were Bleed Esports.
Man, what a name.
And when they left Bleed for obvious reasons, they changed their name to Lone Sharks.
That is a crazy dig, dude. That's sick.
Yeah.
I love that.
Very funny. Very fucking funny. But yeah, so formerly Bleed Esports, now Lone Sharks.
Now Lone Sharks.
Basically, yeah, got second in BLGS. And,
big ups to Lone
yeah.
Shark.
Yeah, big ups to Lone Sharks. Some good boys out there. But yeah, other than BLGS, we had Kings of the World, which was another premiere, and I think Blink Respawn. I don't think Blink Respawn had happened in the world of Street Fighter. 2 premiere events. Basically, you got Noah the Prodigy qualifying in Blink Respawn. You got, I believe, Armperor. Yeah, Armperor is the one who got through at Kings of the World. So all of your offline slots for Capcom Cup 11 have been filled. We're just waiting on all the World Warriors to finish, and once I believe all those are done, we're good. We have ourselves a completed Capcom Cup 11 roster.
Hell yeah.
Shaping up to be good. Obviously, you got Punk in there, Mena in there, Kusanagi, Itabashi is in there. Yeah, Shudo's in there. Nephew is currently qualified. Tokido is qualified. Lashar is qualified. Noah the Prodigy and Armper are all your offline event people. I know Angry Bird just got in through his World Warrior region. That just happened literally today, like a couple hours ago. So he will be at Capcom Cup. He has made it.
As always,
one of
breaking
the two
news
birds.
as we record.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the two birds is in. I'm not sure about the state of Big Bird. He might be in through another World Warrior. I don't know, but Angry Bird definitely is in through his region's World Warrior. So yeah, we'll see. It's looking good. It's gonna be a good Capcom Cup. I'm pretty excited about it. I know SFL is entering its end game. I'm not sure who's qualified yet out of there, but SFL is ramping up. Man, I wish they made that product more more appealing to follow in America, but
yeah,
boy, do they just kind of let it languish. That's a topic for another time, though.
We talked about in the Health of a Scene episode, I think.
I brought it up. SFL does some things that piss me off.
Go watch that one also.
Yeah, the fact that SFL, I think I said it there too. Just the fact that it's not live makes no sense to me. The fact that SFL is a pre-record, America's, and it's only the American one. EU is live. When EU SFL airs, it is live. You're seeing it live. It's happening live. When Japan does SFL, it's live. You watch it live. The results happen live. The matches happen live. We are currently the only region that they pre-record all of SFL and then they air it weekly. And I don't know. That really does kill it for me. I know some people might not care, but for me, it really does take something out of it, knowing it's pre-recorded. I don't know.
It takes away the sportiness of it,
Yeah, yeah.
It's more like a TV show than a sports broadcast.
Yes, and the matches are good, and the format's good. I like it. It's a good format, and the matches are pretty sick. The most recent episode that just came out had FlyQuest coming out and basically making, I believe, grands for the NA region for SFL, and fucking Shine had to clutch it out last game, last round shit. He popped off. It was sick. It was a really good set of matches. But yeah, it's just I'm never compelled to watch it when it airs because it's it's pre-recorded. I feel no urgency. I don't know. It just sucks. But yeah, I mean that's about it. That covers it. Obviously, Apex is kicking along. What's one more?
TWT ended.
You're right. TWT
and
did end.
Boy,
you're right. I totally forgot this because a while ago.
Ranked baby.
Yep, ranked making sure Bears keep winning.
I watched that live. I don't think you understand the pop off as a Bear player. I felt.
Hey,
man.
Listen, the dude won TWT in Tekken 7 with Panda, arguably the worst character in the game at the time. He is currently playing Kuma, which is, sure, not the best character in Tekken 8, but it's literally just a better bear in every way. He's just a stronger bear than the bear that he won with in Tekken 7. They gave Bear an electric, they gave Bear a hell sweep. So, hey, if he can win it with a worse bear, why can't he win it with the good, the even better bear? Yeah, sick. It was really good matches at TWT this year.
It was an insane run too, man.
Yeah,
that run was great.
He had a run. He had a fucking run.
If you're gonna follow anything from this year's TWT, go back and just VOD review or just watch it for the sake of watching it. Follow Ranchu's performance of the whole thing, because dude, it was.
He's great. He's a really likable dude too. I believe he just became a father this year or maybe last year. I forget which. And his first tweet I think after winning TWT this year for T8 was he's my baby is gonna have so many diapers or something like that, which is very funny. But yeah, no, you're right. That's a good one. It happened a little bit ago, so it slipped my mind. But you're right. TWT did happen, and it was sick. And yes, a bear. Your first. That's actually the crazy part too. In a year where all we could talk about was how good Dragunov is, how good Nina is, how good fucking Elisa is, like how good these broken characters are.
Mm-hmm.
The first year's TWT T8
And he did it beating a
is
Dragunov too,
bear.
right? That's how that match ended. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Arslan's. It was him versus Arslan, right? Or was that a different match?
Yeah. I can look up the bracket right now. I actually don't remember. If it
I've
was
got it
against
pulled up. I'll
Arslan,
find
he was
it.
playing against Nina, because Arslan's definitely playing Nina 100%.
Uh,
But I mean, yeah, he had to fight the broken shit.
Yeah.
Like, they were dragging off.
no, it
all
was
over that
it was
bracket.
Atif.
It was at Atif. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, Atif does play Dragunov. So
Yeah. 3-1 against a Dragunov.
yeah, no, he was playing out of his skull. Like his
No, the controller disconnect
Yeah.
in that second
Oh, yeah.
round, dude, gave him a free
Oh, yeah.
round. I was losing my mind. I'm like, that's this nonsense. Just restart the round and give him the first one. Because it was at the start.
Yeah.
It was at the start.
Yeah,
Nobody
it was
threw
at
moves
round
yet.
start. Yes, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. We gotta get
Yeah,
into
you're
the
right.
topic.
I mean, hey, that dude ran the gauntlet, like straight up.
Mm-hmm.
He was in winner's side of grand finals. And yeah, like I said, in a year where all we could talk about was how broken Dragunov is, how fucked up of a character Dragunov is. They nerfed the character. He's still fucked up. Like, took like 3 rounds of nerfs to get him to a place where he wasn't inarguably top 3. And then even now, he's still probably like top 5. And he's playing against, like you said, he was in grand finals against Atif, the best Dragunov in the world. You know, there is
no,
no
dude,
debate.
that first game, he was getting rinsed.
Look at you can look at the results. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there are other good Dragunovs in the world. Atif, results based for this year, is the best Dragunov in the world. Period. Hard stop.
He went the distance
And,
against Arslan, too.
Oh yeah, he's fucking great. He's beaten Arslan in tournament before. Like Atif is fucking sick, and he's got a fang.
I almost said Raichu at TWT.
Oh no, you're right.
He went the
Raichu
distance with
too.
Arslan 3-2. That's
Yeah.
a good one, too.
Yeah.
So.
No, like you said, he had to take that bear one TWT by taking out all of the demons people talked about as the best characters in the game. You know, period.
Spare all day, baby. I
Like
know I
said,
lost my
say what
Kuma
you
chain that I got from
say-
CO.
Did you say you lost it?
Yeah, because it was on my my
Ah.
travel backpack, and I think I lost it in an airport somewhere. So
I had the same thing happen to my Majin Obama Slurpee pin. I had to rebuy it at Combo Breaker this year.
yeah,
'cause
next
I lost
event
it.
I gotta find I forgot her name, but I gotta find her booth and buy a new one.
She's sick. If it's the girl I'm thinking of, it's like Space Day or 2D Day or something like that. She's a lot of stuff.
Different one, I think, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember. I
Yeah.
gotta I have the card somewhere in my card holder. I'll find it.
True. But yeah, now Bear was sick. Bear is your TWT champion, and if there's one thing you can say, you know, is he the best character in the game? Probably not. But when a bear hits you, you know it because you lose 75% of your health bar and probably have to guess for game if you're at the wall.
You want to play Mishima, but do you want him to be really bad with really short normals? Play a bear.
But when you're in heat, you start fucking electrocuting.
Bears in heat do typically start fucking.
That's goat shit right there. That's bars.
Pull
All
that
right.
shit out.
Fucking it. No, that's bars. Yeah, no.
All right.
Speaking of fighting games,
With segue.
let's get this going. Because there's been some Tekken news.
Has been.
Tekken news that was such a big deal that we almost made it the subject of this episode.
Yeah.
We opted not to because we had what might be a more interesting topic. So there was some game awards recently.
Might have
Everybody
heard of 'em.
knows.
You might have seen them.
Yeah, everybody's favorite, game awards where they
Mm-hmm.
award games and then also show you a bunch of commercials for games. And
My favorite
people
gaming
care
clip
more
show.
about the commercials than they do the awards.
It's like the Super Bowl, man.
I love it. You know, I wouldn't change it for the world. But
For all
yeah,
the-
there's
for all the
little
EU fans,
TA.
it's like the World Cup, but over here, and we do it every year instead of once every 4 years. Because why does it take you that long?
Yeah, dude. I want to know who's the best this year. I don't want to
Yeah.
wait 4 years.
Like, just do it at the Olympics at that point, right?
Yeah.
'Cause, like, everybody's already there.
That's real. That's real. It's like the World Series, you know.
Yeah. Although the
In
World
America.
Series is only us, and then there's like the
That's my
international league.
favorite thing, actually. Fun fact.
To be
my
fair,
favorite
we
thing
were the
about the
only
World
ones
Series
doing it when
is
we
that
started the World Series.
Yeah.
So-
And guess what? That's sick. We are the world. We are the children. But there was a little announcement. The final character in this season of Tekken 8 DLC was announced. And everyone thought, because, you know, this dates back to the TWT. There was an announcement before TWT even happened where they said, hey, we are not announcing the next character at Tekken World Tour. And everyone's like, and then I think they even followed it up with like a cryptic thing like, but we'll see you at Game Awards. And so everyone instantly, heads were spinning. They were like, why are they saving it for Game Awards? It's got to be a collab character then. There's no way they would save an original Tekken character for just Game Awards. It's got to be a collab with somebody. Smart reasoning. I agreed.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Sure, I could see that.
Makes sense.
So the debate starts flying. Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Kiryu.
Thought it was gonna be
It's gonna be
Snake.
Tifa. Final Fantasy VII. Who did you think it was?
Thought it was gonna be Snake.
Snake.
Metal Gear 3,
That's
you know, it's
that's a
coming
good
out.
guess.
It's
That's a good guess.
topical.
I don't think it's a bad guess. You know, the debate starts flying, right? Everyone's out here
Tifa
standing
looking
for
good.
their character. Tifa, yeah, the Tifa fans were in force. They're like,
'Cause-
it's a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth
They're
here.
in what? They're in
She
like
punches.
Toshinden, right?
Maybe. Actually, a good question. I don't know.
know. They're,
I mean-
they're in some
I mean-
like fighting game.
At the very least, I mean, Noctis was in T7. Like, they have a good working relationship with Square Enix.
Yeah.
Like, it's, you know, it's a notable thing. This is further proven by who it actually was. It was none other than Clive from Final Fantasy 16, main character of Final Fantasy 16, Clive Rosefield.
His name. I thought he'd have like a crazier last name.
No, dude, that game's like hella European and
Yeah.
like it's hot, like it's fantasy ass fantasy. That's Clive Rosefield, baby. Stick character. Final Fantasy 16 player myself. Really enjoyed that game.
I like
Great
his
character.
transformations. I like that he turns into like he like does the Attack on Titan activate into Ifrit thing and punch stuff. That's really cool.
Oh yeah, no, the character. So I finally got to play him a little bit yesterday. The character I think is beautifully incorporated. Lot of fine detail on a lot of the animations.
He has a Leroy dog.
Oh, dude, he brings in so in 16 you could hit a button to call Torgal, who is your wolf.
It's a crazy.
And the wolf would like attack shit. And yeah, you're right. He literally has a button that he basically has an additional button that he can put on certain strings to call Torgal in, and Torgal works as a combo extender.
Does Leroy still have the dog button? Because I want to know the interaction.
It's
they
a
both.
taunt, I think.
Okay. Because I want to know the interaction with both
8,
dogs
I
on
believe,
screen.
yeah, I believe Sugar. I think that's her name. I think that's his dog's name,
Yeah.
Sugar. I think Sugar is a taunt.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, no, Torgal is literally like a combo extender. So like in certain strings, if they hit, like Torgal will jump out and like turn it into like a tornado or like whatever. But yeah, it's all great. When Clive goes into heat, he enters his limit break mode from the game. That's really cool. The stage, so he has a stage that is like from Final Fantasy 16. It's like the stage where the of the Archon battle between like Ifrit and Phoenix. Really like high budget, like crazy ass stage. Like the stage transition when you're moving to the final round is literally like Ifrit killing Phoenix and like nuking the fucking castle. Like it's really crazy. It's a
Just blows
super
it
high
up.
spectacle. Yeah, no, literally he like when you move to final round on that stage, it's just a cutscene of Ifrit holding Phoenix by the throat, and then he punches him in the chest, and then they explode. And then you're standing in like the wreckage of the castle in like the final round version of the stage, which has a floor blast, so everyone's gonna love it and not hate it and not die instantly.
I know this is a different topic, but it just popped into my head because we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about castles and fighting games and blowing up castles.
Yes.
my pie in the sky. I'm going with this. This will just be a one-off thing that we'll get right back into it because this is
Okay.
for a future episode. Pie in the
Right.
sky guest Tekken character, Leon S. Kennedy. Moving on.
Yeah, we'll have a guest character. We have to have a guest character episode.
Yeah.
It's such a hot topic. We will have one. That, like I said, it was almost going to be this one. We were this close to talking about it because
it was a toss-up, but this is a
because Clive provoked a lot of conversation, as guest characters usually do. Some people were fucking mad. Some people were like, "This guy should be in Soul Calibur." This, that, and the other thing.
I mean, so should Victor and Nox
Yeah,
Noctis,
exactly.
but
That was my thing. Is I'm like, dude, Victor's in this game. Like, I don't want to fucking hear
There's
it.
already
Like,
a sword
I don't-
guy.
like, yeah, like it's I don't want to hear it. And like,
Nina
could
shoots
he,
you. Like I don't like. What are we doing?
and could Clive have been in Soul Calibur? Yeah, probably, but he's not, and it's fine. Like, I don't know. Like, it's fine. I've played the character. He's fine. He feels
They
good.
put him
It
in the
looks
game
good,
that
it's
people are
flashy.
playing.
Yeah, like it is what it is. Whatever, not important. So yeah, big news there. Clive's in Tekken. You know what else happens at the Game Awards? Probably weirdly like smaller news, but like if you're in the know, like bigger news, right? It's kind of like a weird like cultural thing where like if
Yeah.
you're in the culture, probably bigger news about this other thing than the Clive thing. But Clive probably bigger to your general populace. But bigger to the culture, the return of Virtua Fighter.
That was a crazy one because it was followed.
Yeah.
Was that after or before the Yakuza trailer?
No, so that was you're right. It's weird because they almost seem like they're the same game.
Yeah,
which
they
is
were
like
right.
fucking
They were
weird.
back to back. They show
Yeah.
the logo twice. And
It's before though. They show the Virtua Fighter thing, and then they
the
go
stage that
back
they're on.
to it is like in the era of that Yakuza game.
yeah. Like Kira's got like this
and-
cool trench coat now. He looks so sick.
Dude, yeah, no, new.
Fuck.
I was listening to like a podcast where they were talking about it, and literally one of the guys on the podcast, they were talking about who the main characters, like the characters in the footage were, because it's Ryu and then I forget the girl,
I
but
can pull up the roster real quick.
dude, it's literally just the two of them. Like no one knows shit right
Yeah.
now. But literally one of them, it was funny because they were like, yeah, he's this guy with like a trench coat and he's got the hat, and someone was like, that's Ryu, right? And they were like,
Sarah?
yeah. Sarah, yes,
Yeah.
that's the other girl in the trailer. And they were like, they literally were in denial. They're like, Ryu's way too straight laced. There's no way they put Ryu in like the trench coat with like the stubble beard and the hat. He's too straight laced. They wouldn't do that. And like someone was like, no, like it's confirmed. Like that's him. He's been like redesigned. And he's like, that's crazy, but that's sick as fuck. Like, and it is. He looks sick as fuck. It's really cool.
Real quick, you're saying Ryu
Yeah.
and Akira?
Yeah, I mean Akira. I meant Akira the whole time. I was saying Ryu.
I had to catch it before the comments got
yeah.
you, man.
No, yeah.
Ruthless.
Well,
down
the
there.
reason Ryu was in my head because I was thinking the thing that also made those trailers hard to distinguish is that they're both Virtua Fighter and the Yakuza game, obviously,
Yeah.
are being done by Ryuga Gotoku, like the fucking the studio,
Yeah.
you know, like that does Yakuza is also making VF.
That new Yakuza game looks sick though.
Yes, it does.
It looks so
extremely
cool.
sick.
The like, I'm like it's not Ishin, right? Where it's like
No.
like, a bit more feudal, but it's like kind of
It's turn of the century.
it's for the century.
think-
Like there's it's
So I think because it's called Project Century 2, I think it's
Yeah.
literally supposed. My guess is
it's to like
I'm gonna.
span different timelines or whatever.
No, I don't. Someone proposed that where they're like they think it's gonna be like the game is gonna span like 100-year timeline.
Yeah.
I actually don't think that's true. I think it's you are in Kamurocho 100 years before
Before-
the Yakuza games.
Yeah.
So it's like you're literally in Kamurocho in like 1908, you know, like because I think the first Yakuza's in like 2008 or something like that.
Something like that.
So I think it's literally supposed to be like 1908 Kamurocho.
I gotta play those games to prepare, man. They're like
They're
on
really
my
good.
radar.
I'm on.
But I haven't gotten around to 'em.
I've done 0 up to, and I'm on 4. I've
Should I
done
play them
0, 1,
chronologically?
2, and 3.
Should I
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you should.
not
in
release
my
order?
opinion.
Chronological, like for the story, I guess, because they're like near-
Yeah. So 0, you can go either way. I started with 0, legit started with 0, and I feel totally okay with it, and I think it works.
I'm sure there's like some like nerd guide on there that'll have it.
Yeah, but yeah, I think 0 is totally fine, and then you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Play the Kiwami versions of 1, 2, and 3. I'll say that much. Or well, play the Kiwami versions of 1 and 2, and then deal with the noticeable downgrade in gameplay for 3.
Okay.
And then you'll kind of catch back up to what
What about the
Kiwami's
Like a
doing in like
Dragons,
4, 5, and 6.
Right?
Those are after. Those are
Those
all
are after.
actually after 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does Ishin have like
technically
anything to do with it, or is
Ishin
that
is a completely self-contained side
Storyline,
what-if
okay.
story about them in feudal Japan. It's
Okay.
got no relation. Yeah.
it's like trying to get somebody into Monogatari?
No, yeah, legit. It's a whole thing. Because I started the plunge, but yeah, because I wanted to play Like a Dragon when it came out, and I was convinced not to because they were like, "Hey, there is actually like 8 spoilers in Like a Dragon." Like, yeah. So I can't do that. So we're working our way up.
Yeah. Back on track.
But yeah,
VF.
VF's back. For the first time in a very
And
long time.
5 Revo is finally coming to Steam.
Yeah, the Revo update with rollback coming to Steam, trying to get people in on the, trying to get people in right now while they, get actual VF6 ready to go.
Build legacy skill.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the joke. I had a friend who like texted our group chat, and he was like, guys, I was watching the Game Awards and I saw Virtua Fighter, and I turned to my girlfriend and I was like, Tony and Andres love that game. And he was like, "You guys gonna play it?" I was like, "Dude, I'm not 45. No." That was a joke. But it's a funny joke.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Listen. You want to talk?
It's
about
like you want to talk
games?
about a boomer ass, boomer game. VF is the boomer ass.
It's
boomer
like
game.
that and like 98 are in the same breath of.
Yeah. You're playing a pre-2000 KOF game, or you're just playing Virtua Fighter.
It's
and
like
you're
up
talking
to
about how you
2, right? What was the Millennium match or whatever it's called? Ultima or whatever.
Yeah,
Or is that
Millennium I
2001?
believe is 02 or 01.
Yeah, whichever one that
2000
is.
and
That's
2001
like
I think
the
are both
cutoff of
Millennium.
like boomer games there, man.
Yeah.
Because that's when like a dude with like a family, mortgage. He's been at the same company for at least 30
you're
years
right.
at this point.
Straight up.
He's coming
I
out to
don't-
rinse you in that game.
I don't have a pension. I'm not playing Virtua Fighter. I don't know what to say. Like I don't.
I'm not well off enough in life to
Yeah.
play Virtua Fighter.
I'm just not that guy. I'm not out here. I'm not one of them. That guy, the guy who plays Virtua Fighter looks at me playing T8 and Strive and asks me if I need like one of those de-stress bubble toys for my autism.
He
Like
forgets how buttons on the controller work when he has to play Melty.
dude, he looks at the fact that one of my controllers has no stick and he's disgusted. Like he's visibly upset. Like
Back in my day, we played on the cabinet. Everything had a lever.
It's gross and unholy, and he's not happy with it. But it's back, and there's and that's cool.
And it looks really good.
That trailer looks good.
It looks real good.
Yeah.
Listen,
And like I said, I like the
VF5
redesigns.
Has been a game since 2000. I want to say like 12, 2007.
7. No, I was gonna say we're gonna get into this because I'm glad you're bringing this up because it bleeds into my main topic. Because you're right, I looked this up when I was putting together the document for this topic.
I watched the video.
VF5, the original version of VF5 was released in 2007 on console.
That is almost a 20-year-old game.
You're right. VF, and basically there was 2 editions of it that came out after that. There was VF, I believe it was called Last Fight or something like that.
Yeah, it was like Last Stand and Final Fight or whatever. Like
Final Bout or something. Yeah, something like that.
shout out Final Bout when they bring that back.
Who knows?
Don't.
That's a good. That's next on.
That's a boomer game. Talk about
Yeah,
boomer.
that's another one. But yeah, so there was that one, which I believe came out in 2012. That's like, I think that edition of it. And then basically we just got in 2021 VF5 Ultimate Showdown. And then 3 years later, the rollback version, which you're talking about now, is VF5 Revo, which is basically supposed to be the actual last edition of that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, like you said, VF5, a mainline entry into the Virtua Fighter series, is from 2007 on console. That is literally a 17-year, like a 17-year gap.
Yeah.
In time. Almost a 20-year-old game that is finally resurfaced. So this got me thinking, and this is what I brought up to you of like, hey, you think this would be an interesting topic, and we decided it did. Fighting games in a generational context. Because I think it's interesting, because like we go through like eras, right? And then I've been hearing, there's been a lot of talk about this current era of fighting games. Basically what we would call like the COVID to post-COVID era of fighting games. And many people were talking about it like it is the golden era, the golden age of fighting games. Some people fucking hate that. No, so there are people out there who obviously don't want to hear that.
There are arguments against it, but I feel like that is a pretty solid sentiment to have, considering the quality of games that are out.
Well, yeah, at the very least, that's what I'm saying is, at the very least, this era, all of the big guns are here to play. Mm-hmm. Now, VF5 is coming out to kind of join that party. Most of the big guns. I won't say all of them, but most of the big guns are here to play. And in a sense, there's a lot of resurfacing of the old, right? Where it's like we've gotten collections for all of these old Marvel games that were kind of like literally lost to time. No one thought Marvel 2 would ever come back on a modern platform.
Marvel's free, bro.
Yeah, it's free. I was just saying, we live in a world where it's free.
It's not actually free. You have to pay for the collection. Yes,
but like you said,
the hashtag free Marvel is real.
It had gotten to a point where everyone was. Max himself, who was, the person who literally pushed this free Marvel 2 stuff.
He did the Twitch Rivals for it to promote it.
Right.
Yeah.
He was told, like, he basically, before that trailer dropped, he was told, like, I was told it's basically impossible, is like what he said. He said, from what I was told, the rights were so far fucked up and jumbled, it was never going to happen. They were never going to re-release Marvel 2. Every Marvel vs. Capcom game is in a collection now. You can play it on a modern platform. And they're good ports from what I've heard. Like everything,
and you get the filters if you want to make CRTs or whatever the monitor. Like there's the artwork.
And guess what?
Goated collections.
There's all that stuff. They're goated collections. Not that anyone wants to play it, mind you, but from a historian standpoint, SVC Chaos came back in this era. We got a collection, like a modern port of SVC Chaos. Like what? Like that's crazy.
I remember Ken having like a ridiculous like super jump into like some nonsense.
Yeah, guess what? No one wants to play that game. That game sucks. Like,
yeah, no, it's that's certainly why I don't want to play it. Tell you what,
as a historian of fighting games, who's someone who likes game preservation in general, who has a plethora of old consoles for that reason, that's sick. That's cool. You've seen openness of crossovers in this era. We've seen shit like Street Fighter take on, bring in fucking SNK characters. You've got Guilty Gear getting its first collaboration character. You've got T8
That's true. That's
and
its
T7.
First ever, right?
Yes, the first one in the franchise.
There wasn't even one in Overture.
No. Lucy from Cyberpunk is the first crossover character in Guilty Gear history.
I think that's so sick too. We'll get into it in another episode, but having Guilty Gear do like being the premier anime fighter and then bring in other animes and characters from animes as its TS characters could be a long-standing thing. I think that's really sick.
No, I agree with you. It is a progressive era. It is one where a lot of things have pushed forward, and it felt like a return to form after what seemed like a couple of rocky years.
Yeah.
But like I said, it prompted me to be like, hey, let's talk about the recent generations of fighting games, and let's compare and contrast, and let's see what do we think, the two of us, passionate participants and onlookers of fighting games for a long time. What do we think about the golden era of fighting games? So I've sent you a list that you have.
Yes. Do you want to start at the bottom of the list, or you want to start from the top going down?
So first, let me put it some qualifiers before people get uppity, because obviously, yes, this is not a comprehensive list. I essentially, because eras can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, so I had to define that for myself, and I want to explain my reasoning for each era based on what I was looking at and the data I was looking at, and how I compiled my list. So we have a list going from 2024 all the way back to 2009 is the furthest I go back. The reason why I chose 2009 as an arbitrary starting point is because, one, that's the release of Street Fighter 4. And if you look at fighting games prior to Street Fighter 4, the last time there was a mainline Street Fighter title was 10 years before that with Third Strike. So there's kind of a 10-year gap there where it feels like fighting games are dead. Tekken is the only game. Like, that's what a lot of people refer to if you go into the culture as like the Dark Ages, where like Tekken's the only game making new games. Pretty much most franchises that are mainstream are dead. Street Fighter has no game until Street Fighter 4, which is 10 years after Third Strike.
People also refer to 4 as like the game that saved fighting games.
It's the one. It's called the Renaissance game.
Yeah.
Like, it's the game, that brought back fighting games as a genre, right? And there's a lot of stuff in 2009 that gives credence to that when we get into it. So I started at 2009. From there, from 2009 to 2024, I had to like look at the list and break down where I thought the breakpoints were. And by looking at the data, as we like to say, I kind of figured out like there's like a pattern where you can usually find a mainline title as the Kickstarter for the next generation about every 4 years. The only one that gets around that point is actually the Street Fighter 4 generation, which goes about 5 before I found a title that I thought was worthy of like starting the next generation, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, based on that data, you've got like a 4 to 5 year gap on most of these gens. And the games I have listed out for each one are titles that I consider of a notable enough studio to make it into this list. I'll put it out there in advance. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm sorry. Banana Fish is great. Yes, it came out in these years. I didn't list it. Yes, Aquapazza is great. You can enjoy Aquapazza. We all love Aquapazza. Didn't write it down.
Arcana Hearts.
Million love
Arthur.
it. Rate it. Really love them all.
Yeah.
Did not write them down. Didn't need to write them down. It's fine. Like,
the influence of those games isn't felt as heavily as the ones that are listed here.
Yes, those titles are in there, but
great games.
Yeah, I did not need to specifically list them out.
More power to you.
So basically, it was stuff like French Bread Games, Arc System Works games, Capcom games, Bandai Namco.
Some Sega,
are what I put out.
You get this P4's on here, right? Yeah, that's Sega.
Yeah, but that's Arc System Works. That's who developed that.
That's true. That's Arc System.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are there. Also, I put in essentially the dates, because some people are going to be like, I'm going to say the release year of a game, and they're like, that game didn't come out that year. I put the US console release of a game as the origin point because the competitive community does not care when that game came out in arcade in Japan. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we here in America couldn't touch it. It was just out in arcades in Japan. So,
Japanese
the dates I have for these games
might have something to say about that, but
sure, and that's fine.
The greater international sphere.
The global community got their hands on the game. That is the date I use, so we're going by international console release as the start. So, yeah. Let's now that the qualifiers are taken away. We have our qualifiers in. I'll go through. We'll start from the bottom of each era and like how I have broken it out. So we'll start out in 2009. You have a year of a few notable good games. More than I remembered at the time when I learned about this. So in that year, 2009, so the first era, to give people an idea, the first era I have written out, the earliest era, is an era consisting of 2009, 2010, and 2011. In 2009, you have BlazBlue Calamity Trigger, you have KOF 12, you have Street Fighter 4, you have Tekken 6. 1 year later in 2010, you have BlazBlue Continuum Shift, the second version of the second BlazBlue game. You have Super Street Fighter 4. You have VF5 Final Showdown, which, you know, we talked about how original VF5 was in 07, so 3 years later you get Final Showdown. And then you have 2011, which was KOF 13, MVC 3, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, and Ultimate vs. Capcom 3, which I laughed that I did not realize those games literally came out in the same year. That's extremely
Can I sidebar on 13 for a second? Apparently it's getting rollback soon.
Yes, they announced that very recently.
Yeah.
As early as maybe
That's
today
fine.
or yesterday.
Listen,
Yeah.
I love me some 13. That game
So, yeah.
might be whatever to play, but man, is it pretty.
No. I actually don't even think that game's whatever to play. I think that game's fun as fuck.
Was
I
it?
think that game is actually super cool.
12 weeks.
And it's gorgeous. Like, you know, I still lament kind of the loss of pixel art, like modern pixel art, that we kind of went through with fighting games because it's just not cost effective enough. And if you want to see like what we're losing out by not doing that anymore, just look at KOF 13, man. That game's beautiful. Like that game is absolutely beautiful.
So what's
But
that
yeah.
one indie one coming out soon that's like entirely pixel art and it's made by like a single guy?
I know which one you're talking about. I have
like
seen that
Burning
one.
Fury or something like that, or
Yeah, it's something like that. I don't remember the name of the game, but yeah. Looks good, but like you can tell it's one guy and like KOF 13 is like that's what happens when a studio can like put
when
people in a
when
budget
you got money to
behind.
throw at that.
Yeah. And it's just beautiful. It looks so
it's
fucking good.
man.
But yeah, so this is what I have classified as the Street Fighter 4 generation. Now, before I move on to the next, because I think we'll go over each generation,
The Renaissance
get
era.
initial thoughts on the generation as a whole, and then after we've gone over all the generations, we'll start comparing to try to figure out what we believe is the best. So, give me your thoughts on the Street Fighter 4 generation, aka the Renaissance generation.
I think it really comes to a head in 2011. Like as
I think you're correct.
we're kind of like exiting that generation, right? You see a lot of those games like perfected.
No,
with the exception of maybe Blaze Blue. Like Blaze Blue that version of Blaze Blue doesn't really like come around to until
Continuum Shift is not bad. The 2010 version.
It's not bad, but I think
anyone who
or
you're right. Chrono
Central-
Phantasma is the one I usually say
Central
is like
Fiction or Chrono
pretty
Phantasma are like just that, but a little better.
better. No, I agree with you. I think Chrono Phantasma is one of the better additions of the game. I think Central Fiction is very good too. I've softened up on Central Fiction a lot. Actually, I used to be kind of a naysayer.
I love Central Fiction.
I've come away, really liking Central Fiction.
But I'm also like a shitty S abuser, so like.
True. She's just a fun character. She's a cool character.
She's just got a big sword, man.
I was
I'm
just an
sucking for big sword.
Izanami hater. Like that's what it came down to. That character's a war crime.
You're getting
She's
stomlocked
a
in a fighting game, like get
Actual
me out.
nightmare person. But
She
yeah,
can camp out above the stage in a 2D fighting game. Like, are you kidding me?
and she can give herself super armor because why not?
Put a fucking Smash character in this game.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think the things you gotta like look at this era that are maybe not, and this isn't stuff exclusive to this era because you actually see it happen in the generation after this, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But this is definitely kind of the start of it. Is we still hadn't grown out of the multi-edition thing of like rebuying games.
Yeah, like MVC3
Street
and
Fighter
MVC3 are
in the same year. Like
Right.
crazy to think about that game. Literally, they just released Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3 in the same year.
Yeah.
And then in that look across a generation, you had a Street Fighter 4 generation every year. 2009 was SF4. That game really takes off in Super Street Fighter 4. That's a version people like a lot. And then the version that people really, really like a lot is like AE. So you're kind of right in the sense that like AE, I think, is often considered maybe one of the better versions of that. Actually, Super might be considered one of the better versions of that game. AE might be where it goes downhill a little bit.
But like you start to see that like kind of improvement because
Or no,
like,
I'm
now
sorry,
we
no.
have-
I got it confused. Ultra is the one where people, because it's like Elena and shit, and people get a little sour on that. AE is the one that is considered, the perfect version, because that's the one with Evil Ryu in it.
Yeah.
And like Oni and shit.
But
So
you
yeah,
get
but
to
you're right.
see, like,
You
that,
just see
that
Street
crux of
Fighter
it.
get perfected in a way as the years go
all
on.
those games
But
because like UMVC3 was like the perfected version of MVC3.
100%.
right? KOF 13 improves and perfects what 12 and 11 were doing.
Consider one of the best KOFs of all time.
Yeah.
You know, KOF 13. Like
I have a physical. I went out and I got a physical copy of it. Shout out GameStop. That was a
Hell
grail.
yeah.
Tell you what.
No, yes, I mean that game's
PS3.
That game is amazing. That game is great. It looks amazing. It's a fun game. It's super fun to watch. Like very cool. Even down to BlazBlue. Calamity Trigger is a fucking travesty of a game. Like by modern standards, no one in their fucking right minds would ever play Calamity Trigger.
Yeah. Especially when you have like a Guilty Gear game from a couple years prior that you could just run Isuka or AC plus R.
Sure. No, you're right. Yeah.
Or something like that. So
yeah, Calamity Trigger is a fucking travesty, like straight up. There's like war crime character after war crime character in that game. Carl Clover is literally like just a nightmare.
Unfortunately,
entity.
Team Blue like just doesn't know what to do with that game, and it makes me sad because it just feels like Kusoge after Kusoge. I feel like I'm playing Fist of the North Star or Basara Cross.
I don't think the later editions are that.
The later ones are like fine.
Yeah,
I think like we were saying before,
BB
I think, like,
Tag
Chrono
is like its own
Phantasma
thing.
Or
yeah, I was gonna say
Continuum
Central
Ascend or whatever,
Fiction and Chrono Phantasma I think are totally fine.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do think there's a market, like a very noticeable upgrade between Continuum Shift in 2010 and Calamity Trigger in 09.
They also just refused to give us a new one.
Yeah, BB Tag kind of took the place of it, and I'm not necessarily a fan of that. Like, I'm glad BB Tag exists, but like, I don't think it should be in place of a BlazBlue game.
I feel like that's the I'm blanking on it. It's like the Tekken Tag of the anime fighter like scene. It's like we have a bunch of characters. There's all kinds of like degenerate tag sheet you can do. It's fun to mash. It plays like an arena fighter though, if like the combo system at least, or it's just like hit square.
It's a degenerate game. It's a very
times.
It's my thing with I think as the meta developed for that game, it got better, but like we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it more as we get to that generation.
We're like a decade off still. So
yeah. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think all in all, solid generation. Some really defining like titles in this one, right? Ultimate vs. Capcom 3.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. What's up?
No, my dog just started freaking out. Like I'm like,
true.
That's why I was like, good lord.
Oh yeah, you're good.
It's like ran by just screaming.
We get live.
Live.
Holiday Spirit. Tekken 6.
She's feeling jolly.
I love Tekken 6. Did you ever play Tekken 6?
I did not. I played 5 and 7.
So 6 is like where I actually came back for a little bit, and I played the fuck out of the single player for Tekken 6.
I heard that one was like actually pretty good.
It has like the weird RPG mode that's like a beat 'em up. Like it's kind of sick. Like it's kind of sick. So Tekken 6, Tekken 6 kind of fucking cool. Yeah, just a good sweep of titles. Obviously AE massive. Ultimate vs. Capcom 3 massive, KOF 13 massive, Tekken 6 pretty solid. I think the introduction of like actual online play, like kind of for that game as well, as like all of these games kind of enter an online era a little bit. Obviously big asterisk on the online back then. But Renaissance generation for a reason, right? I don't think you can ever, whether you like the games or not, I don't think you can discredit that this was a generation that brought back the genre, like period, hard stop. Like, I'm not joking when I say you look at the gap between Third Strike and, fucking Street Fighter 4, Tekken was the only series making anything of note in that time.
Yeah.
There's a ton of, like we said, the Aquapazas and like shit like that. Most of that's never seeing a US release. Like, the States, it's dry. It's Tekken or nothing.
First Tekken Tag come out?
That game is way older than you think it is. A lot of people don't realize it. Tekken Tag, the first Tekken Tag is from 99.
Holy shit, for real, dude! I thought it was after 5.
No. There's a PS2 release that people know. That's like the state release. If we're going by my rules, that one's in 2000.
Okay, yeah, that's like way before. Okay, that's probably why I thought it was a bit more recent. But
No, yeah. Yeah, I would say a lot of people I think like Tekken Tag is like more closer to Tekken Tag 2. It's actually not.
We
It's
had
like they
2000s
are
graphics at the
very
time, so it looked like
yeah,
okay.
right. It looks good, yeah, absolutely for that era. The PS2 Tekken games actually look very good. But literally, like Tekken Tag is a game from 2000, like literally 2000. 24-year-old game right now, you know? Like,
Hey, happy birthday.
yeah. Happened in October, I believe.
Nice.
But yeah, good generation, Renaissance generation. So now it's about carrying the torch forward, right? We move into 2012, which I call the kind of kickoff. So this is where things like I actually don't think there's like a marquee title here that like kicks it off, and I think that's because Street Fighter 4 is still kicking pretty strong, right? So that makes this generation a little bit dicier, but like stick with me because it's obviously like we're now 3 editions into Street Fighter 4. So I do think this is like post Renaissance, I guess is what you can call this, right? Like we've come back. And you can see, like, look at the number of titles.
The We're So Back
right?
era.
Right. Look at the just number of titles on here.
Oh, dude, there's like 5 games a year.
Yeah. No, we're back. Like 2012, DOA 5, P4 Arena, Skullgirls. Skullgirls the only I know people are gonna be like, you guys said no Aquapod, blah blah. Skullgirls, I give Skullgirls credit. Okay, they got like 3. Yeah, Skullgirls gets the mention.
Skullgirls at Evo.
It's the indie darling, bro. It's the indie darling. It's been at Evo. I don't want to hear it.
It's also like
fuck out my mentions.
It's also like Aquapaza, all that. They have indie studios behind them, but like Skullgirls is like the like
it's the
true,
indie
it's
darling.
like the true indie.
It's the indie darling.
Yeah.
It was the indie darling. Straight up.
You can count as an honorable mention, if anything. You know?
Fuck out my mentions.
You find me a game that emulates MVC3 better than
It's been played this long, too.
Yeah.
We're 3 editions into Skullgirls. That game still gets played by a lot of people.
Show me the Aquapaza moment.
That was getting DLC last year.
It's still getting DLC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it has a mobile game that sucks.
Is
not their fault.
Is Black Dahlia out yet?
Yeah, she's out.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, she's out.
Nice.
But yeah, no. DOA 5, P4 Arena, Skullgirls, Soul Calibur 5, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Tekken Tag 2. That's in 2012. In 2013, you have Injustice and the Return of Killer Instinct.
2014. That was a big one. The Microsoft Killer Instinct.
Huge game.
Because that was also like one of their like flagship Game Pass titles too.
Yeah,
they put it on Game Pass. You could play it for free.
And what you're talking about, that's actually way later. Killer Instinct, the 2013 one, that's a launch title for Xbox One.
Oh shit, for real?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
100%. Yeah, because the Game Pass one was like a big update to the game. That was the first time Killer Instinct got a big like update in a while.
Okay.
But you're right in the sense that so what you're talking about is Killer Instinct when it released was the first fighting game to try free to play. Yep.
First like budget like big budget one because like Rolling Thunder and a couple other ones.
Mugen. Well, I think Rolling Thunder's after that.
Really?
Hold on, let me see. Rolling Thunder release date because this was not on my list. Not the movie. 1977. Oh my god.
Is it Rolling Thunder or like Roaring Thunder or something like that?
I think robots, it was right? Rising Thunder. Rising Thunder is 2015.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. So it kind of took that model and then becomes.
It was the first one to take a crack at it. It is
then
the
becomes
first
2XKO, like another 10 years later.
Well, I mean, they bought that studio, right? Well, they bought the Rising Thunder studio. Yeah.
Right. Of course, those guys were like, "Hey, make your game, but League of Legends.
This game." Yeah. 2014.
Don't make it Blade Strangers.
Real. That was another one when I was joking about like games that didn't make the list. I was like, Blade Strangers, not on my list. Don't at me. So it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
2014. BB Chrono Phantasma. GG Xrd Sign. P4 Ultimax. Skullgirls Encore. Ultra Street Fighter 4. 2015. Mortal Kombat X, Skullgirls Second Encore, and Uni EX latest, the console release.
That's the only ST, right?
Yes, that is EST. So that's not clear. That's the one before Clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know they did late, and then they did late ST as like the update.
Late was never released on consoles.
That was an arcade
in
one.
America. Yeah, it was an
Yeah.
arcade one. The first time Uni got to American consoles was EST, like the one you're talking about.
Okay.
So that is the 2015 one. Thoughts on this generation? The keeping the flame going generation.
2014 is kind of the strongest, I feel.
Good anime year. Good year for anime.
Good anime year. With like an honorable mention to MKX, because MKX is probably the best Mortal Kombat that they put out. Thus, like,
True.
Since like the reset with like 9.
Yeah,
Right.
I think you're probably right.
like
I remember the ad campaign for X going crazy because that's the Wiz Khalifa one, right? The Who's Next.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had Migos.
I remember that
play
shit
it.
going crazy. Yeah.
Or was that 11? That interview was great. I think I mentioned it before, but they have like the Migos show up to play. Like they go to like the Migos mansion, right? So it's like all 3 of them, or they rented out a mansion or something, and they like play MKX for a bit. And this might have actually just been IGN, and it might not have been Warner Bros. Or NetherRealm or whatever. But they play like a couple games, and they're like, "Is there a basketball hoop outside?" And they just go and like
You have mentioned this before.
they go out and they just play a round of like 21 or something. Like there's like a drone shot of like Quavo and them just like taking jumpers, man. Not even playing. It's like that's how the video ends. Like
That's fucking crazy, dude.
But listen, man, that's how I feel about NRS games.
I listen as also not an NRS fan. I feel you.
I'll hit some buttons,
like,
and I'm like, all right, y'all got like a cord or something outside. You might be nice on this. Your game has a block button, and that's pussy shit. Let me take you to the hole real quick.
No, play me real shit. Yeah, I'll show you footsies. Block this cross up. Ankles broken.
Where your ankles at? You want to know OTG? Let me cross you up real quick.
OTG is called I take the ball after I dunk it and dunk it again. That's an OTG where I come from, kid. No rules.
No. 2014, I feel like is just the strongest year, right? Because
sure, it's a very me year too. I totally feel it.
You get the same thing from like 2011, where you have like the improvements on BlazBlue finally.
You have one of the best, and Chrono Phantasma, like those are like new games, like they have new characters, right? Shit like that. Chrono Phantasma, one of my favorite versions of BlazBlue. Exerd Sign, the first new Guilty Gear in a long time.
That was massive though.
Oh yeah, I mean it was huge. Obviously, I'm gonna give my hat to like Rev if I have to pick like a version.
Well, it was Exerd, then Sign, and then Revelator.
No, Exerd. So it was Exerd Sign.
Was like the full subtitle.
Yes, full subtitle, and then Revelator, and then Revelator got the big update, which was Rev 2. Yeah.
Which is goated.
Yeah, and like Ultimax is one of the most underrated fighting games of all time. Like that game is so good. Game is so.
I'm trash at it. So sick.
Yeah, Ultimax is legit so good. I really can't praise Ultimax enough. That game is because like Arena's fine. It's a good like foundational game. Ultimax is like where they hit. That game hits. That game is so fucking good. Like Ultimax 10 out of 10. Skullgirls Encore just honestly straight up just a better version.
It's just an improved version of Skullgirls, which is already good. Like you just made a good
already
thing
a
even
solid
better.
foundation. Yeah.
So
and then Ultra Street Fighter 4. Obviously, I think people go back and forth because, like we said, this is your Elena, this is your Relento, like the characters that people talk about ruining the game.
You get like a couple characters from 3 in there, and then you're like,
Red Focus is stupid. Nobody likes Red Focus.
But it's the version of Street Fighter 4 that's still played today. No,
I was gonna say, it's still Street Fighter 4. At its core, that is Street Fighter 4.
You did miss one though.
What did I miss?
Smash 4. Controversial,
yeah,
I know, but
okay, sure.
Smash 4.
You're not. What year is that?
2014.
Is that 2014?
I'm 90% sure.
You're right. You're absolutely correct.
Smash 4 in 2014.
I didn't put platform fighters in here. That's a me bad. That's a my bad.
No, that's
I'll hold
fine.
that one.
Listen, the
Yeah.
greater fighting game community
But
still
no,
debates
you're-
it to this day. But I feel like
Sure.
Smash 4 definitely earns a place.
I
in here.
appreciate the correction. As someone who got into competitive fighting games from Super Smash
Smash.
Brothers Melee, yeah, I feel you. No, you're right.
It-
Notable correction. I'm glad you threw it in there.
we got a huge starting roster, right? It was the
Yeah,
Smash
like
4
100 something characters.
dude, something like that. Like the Smash 4 roster introduced a bunch of new characters. Obviously, with like every Smash iteration, they always expand the roster.
Yeah, it was 51 playable in base, 58 overall after DLCs.
And some of those like base roster characters
Echo
were-
Fighters.
Oh yeah, that's when we get to Ultimate, which we'll talk about. What's that? 2018?
Yes, that
2017?
sounds
Something like that?
correct.
17 or 18?
I'll look that up now so I can preempt it.
Because what's the DLC cycle for 4 also? Does that go into 2016?
So the thing about 4 is weird because you have to remember that it was divided between the Wii U and the 3DS version.
Yes.
And they added fighters in the Wii U version that apparently could not be in the 3DS version
I
or
think
something
Wii
like
U
that.
couldn't be in 3DS or something like that because they couldn't get the turn mechanic to work.
There's stuff like that. Ice Climbers, I know, had to take a break because they couldn't put them on the 3DS.
They cut them entirely.
They cut them
because
entirely.
yeah, so
the 3DS.
they both had the full roster, but Climbers couldn't be in the game because of the 3DS hardware limitations. So they just cut them from both versions because they were compatible. You could play 3DS with
Yeah,
Smash
you could
4,
play them against each other.
which was also super sick and why it deserves
innovative
to be up here.
No, cool.
Right?
Cool.
You have listen, you want to talk about cross-platform fighting games? That was the first one.
Okay, so I agree with all the things you're saying. Fuck that game.
I feel like
that
I was
game
gonna
sucks
say,
shit.
there's a but. No, it does suck. Wait, no, we also forgot Brawl in like 2011 or 2009.
Yeah, fuck that game too. But you're
That
right.
game. You want to talk about? You want to talk? Fuck
yeah,
that
the
game for
actual
Smash?
worst one. Yeah, the
Brawl.
actual worst one. Yeah.
And then we get Brawl, but better in 4. But
You're right,
we still
an
don't have
improvement.
no directional dashes. You know, they stripped down what made Melee fun.
Yeah, we get some of it back, but not enough.
Yeah. So, but I feel like that was still pretty influential because like my start into competitive Smash was in 4. I had a buddy that I mentioned before, shout out Stay, that was like playing competitively. I was like really invested into it, and that's when I was like following the FGC really closely because before I was just like strictly on Dota, and then that's when I started branching out a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So, Smash 4 is definitely.
No, 100%. And you're right. Like I said, yeah, I'm actually glad you corrected it. It does deserve to be a part of that generation for sure. Yeah, you're right. I think all in all on this generation, I'm feeling a strong. It's what you need in a post Renaissance era, right?
Yeah.
We're back. How do we keep it going? How do we try to keep this genre alive in the modern day? And you see a lot of swings, right?
Like,
and not all of them hit.
2012 was like, let's start reintroducing franchises. DOA came back. P4
Soul
Arena was like,
Calibur.
let's try a new IP. Tekken Tag 2,
Right.
Soul Calibur 5.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken, bro.
That game is fun. It's great. It's a cool
Here's the
concept.
deal.
The
Yes,
pay to win
that game-
sucked, and the fact that it's locked to Games for Windows Live makes me incredibly sad because I can't buy
Well,
it.
you're right, and that's the thing that sucks is because everyone remembers it for that. Which obviously, yes, poo not good. On disc DLC, I remember that being like the big thing about that game.
The gemstones
people
or whatever
hated
you
that.
had to buy
The
to like
gemstones.
adjust your characters.
What people don't remember, because we all were like, fuck that game, let's not talk about it, is all of that got patched out in like the first like major update for that game. And like, I didn't play it because I totally guilty. Like, I didn't play it a ton either after the patch. All I've ever heard about that major like overhaul patch is that game was pretty fucking good. Like after the overhaul shit. And like what it was doing for tag mechanics, that shit is like
Yeah. There's a video of Max playing it again because you can play local co-op, I think, or something like that. Still, because if you feel like you already own it,
yeah.
it's just that you can't.
I've
run,
also
like,
heard that
online.
apparently there's some stuff going on where like someone was looking into like back end shit, and it
Yeah.
seems like they might be trying to get that game off of Games for Windows Live and like maybe onto Steam.
It's on
word in the
Steam.
rumor
Like you
mill.
can, it has a store page on Steam. It's just unavailable
Yeah.
for purchase. Like if you try to buy it,
Yeah.
Steam says you can't buy this game because it needs Games for Windows Live. And
Right,
it doesn't
exactly.
exist.
Yeah,
So, I don't know
I
how
have
Max is
heard
playing it. I think he has
some
a disc for it, and that's like how it worked. but-
maybe. Yeah, I would say it's possible that's a console release. But yeah, like what that game did for tag mechanics was pretty big. I mean, the active tag system stuff that you're seeing now in 2XKO,
Mhm.
that was a really defining part of BB Tag. Like that was from Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Like
Very
yeah,
experimental. Like I guess you could say this is like the, if we're gonna
Yeah.
do the art references like Renaissance, it's like the modernist fighting game stage.
yeah, okay. I can get with that.
You've
I would
got a
say
lot
because you're
of,
right. It is experimental. It's a huge crossover for one. Like people, talking that shit aside, like that was shit that had been talked about. Like that was
Listen,
some like
man.
storybook shit. Like
I
that
can
was
run
shit people talked
Blanca
about
and
before.
Ogre, my big green guys, in one game.
You could have
Sign me
Jin, I was out here playing Jin Ken, as like a team. Like that's craziness, Like and some of the stuff they did to make, because obviously Akuma in Street Fighter or in Tekken 7 is like a good example of like how they can do a Street Fighter character in Tekken. I almost, and maybe I'm crazy for saying this. Some people might crucify me for this. You can crucify me for this if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm bugging. I actually feel like it's probably harder to make a Tekken character into a Street Fighter character than it is to make a Street Fighter character into a Tekken character.
You're 100% right because they put Akuma in 7, and that was broken.
Fair.
Like it wasn't
Yeah.
broken because it was like jank. It was broken because he was just
jump
overtuned.
ins. Yes.
Right? So
tuned 'cause he had jump ins.
like it's
Yeah.
it's easier to make them into a Tekken character because they're just a broken Tekken character.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then you have to to create the idea of okay, well, what does a Jin Fireball look like? Does he have shit like that?
Yeah.
And there were really cool, I think, answers to a lot of those questions that were in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Fucking phenomenal intro movie too, by the way. If we're gonna stop for a second to talk about that, the intro movie for Street Fighter Cross Tekken, top 5 all time.
That's got
so
aura, man.
fucking good. Oh my god, so fucking good. Bob sitting next to. Is he next to Honda? I don't remember exactly who he's
Yeah,
sitting
I
next to,
think so.
but oh my god, so good. But you're right. In the same way that we need to talk about the good, we kind of need to talk about the bad for this generation. Because, like I said, there were swings and there were misses.
Yes.
Soul Calibur 5, kind of not great.
You're coming off 4,
kind of dropped the ball.
where you have Darth Vader,
beloved game
right?
4.
You got.
I love 4.
Wasn't that-
Me being Omega into fighting games.
When
I
did
loved
that one
4.
come
I
out?
played
Is
a
that
fuck
not
ton
on?
of 4.
Is that not on the Renaissance?
So I actually wonder
generation?
that now too that you bring it up. Because I also wonder when that was, because it's not on this list, which means it had to. Yes, okay, because it's 2008. That's why.
Yeah,
Calibur
it
4 was
just barely
2008.
makes the cut.
Yes. That's why it is not in the generation before that. But yeah,
I looked up
Lover,
SC4 release date and got SimCity 4. we, li-
you hate to see
we
it.
live in the darkest of times.
You hate to see it. The Soul Calibur slander.
Oh man.
But yeah, as someone who loved 4, and I couldn't tell you because obviously my palate wasn't as finely tuned at the time. In good old 2012.
Yeah.
But I can tell you as a 2012er, a much younger me, walking and playing Soul Calibur 5, it did not jive with me. I don't know if it was the lack of the characters I liked no longer being in it, the general systems, whatever. I wasn't feeling it. Also,
It just
fuck
didn't have
Ezio.
Yoda for me, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I was a dumb kid. You're a little older than me, so I was still a dumb kid when that game came out, and I didn't play 5 because I'm like, Yoda's not in it.
that's actually so funny.
It don't got Star Wars.
You're right to some degree. That's the thing is, I was not enthused by the fact that Ezio was in it. I wasn't jiving. I didn't care. That wasn't a cool guest character to me.
You look at the 2 guest characters, and this will be a topic for the next time we touch it as well, because this bleeds into that. But the appeal of those games was you have Spawn and Kratos. and Link, right, for the different
Yep.
versions. And sure, version exclusivity was like kind of whack and does
Yeah.
not help the competitive scene. But
No.
like to sell your game and to like entice people with those consoles, like having Link in 2 was so good for that because the GameCube, like the GameCube crowd was getting it just for Link.
No, I remember hearing
Right,
basically
so-
you could tell like
Or was that 3?
like that was Soul Calibur. I
believe it's-
think that's I believe that's 2. There's got to be 2. Yeah, it's 2.
Yeah, it's 2. Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't being retarded.
No, that's 2. You're right, because you can tell who played like, because it basically if you owned Soul Calibur 2 for GameCube, your favorite character was Link.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever heard of a person that I talked to who played Soul Calibur 2 and like had the GameCube version that wasn't just like, oh, I just played like Link.
3 puts
Like,
the Arbiter in the game, right?
I was a Arbiter. No, the Arbiter is in Killer Instinct.
Arbiter's in Killer Instinct. Wait, which? No,
He's sick as fuck.
I thought Arbiter was in Soul Calibur and the Spartan was in KI.
No,
No, the Spartan's in DOA.
Spartan's in DOA.
Spartan's
yeah,
in
DOA
DOA.
5. Yes.
And then, yeah, dude, what an era for crossover characters too.
It's
Like,
a weird, like I said, it's a weird,
that's what I'm saying. It's the modernist.
like
it's
a
the
weird
modernist
time.
era. You're
Or no,
having
sorry,
all
the
these.
Spartan is in DOA 4, 2005, DOA 4.
Okay.
But
Still.
you're right. Like, yeah, Killer Instinct got the Arbiter at one point. You know, I forget which year he came out, but yes, the Arbiter was in fucking Killer Instinct.
Was in KI 2013. Not in
2013?
2013, but the one that came out in 2013.
Yeah, the version, the like big update for 2013 or like that one. Yeah. No, it's a swing and a miss year, but you're right. I think it's important. Like, and obviously there's some big hitters here that really I do think keep the thing going. Right, like you have Xrd, you know, the first new Guilty Gear in how long? You know, like massive, huge.
That was a big one. Well, because it was
I would say
Accent
it's a
Core.
big deal. I was just say I think that's the first one since AC. Yeah, like literally. Like
Because 2
AC
doesn't
plus
count.
R.
2's not a fighting game.
No, 2 is not a fighting game. Like Overture is not a fighting game. Like yeah, it's the first time that franchise got like a new game that wasn't a revision in ages. And you know, Tekken Tag 2, which is attributed with almost killing the franchise.
Oh, no, Isuka was after Double X.
You're right. So yes.
And then
Is AC
Xrd.
plus R after Isuka?
I thought AC plus R was the like rollback update they did. Like the plus R was from that, and it was just Accent Core.
Maybe you're right. Yeah. Maybe you're... you might be right.
Because
I have to look that up. I
AC
actually don't
plus
know.
R is 2012.
Okay, so yeah, then the plus R was just what they called that.
That's what they did, like the re-release,
Yeah.
like on Steam and everything.
Right. But yeah, no, so obviously Sign's huge, and like I said, you got some misses. You've got Street Fighter Cross Tekken, you've got Soul Calibur 5, you got Tekken Tag 2. Bandai had it real rough that year. You have Injustice 1, which like vanilla Injustice 1 is, you want to talk about war crime games. Like,
Oof.
I don't think anyone has anything
Oof,
from a
I think-
competitive standpoint, like anything good to say about Injustice
Did we
1.
skip MK versus DC?
That one I think also
That's
predates
2008.
2000. Yeah, I would say
So
I
it's
believe
right-
that one
it's
also
right
predates
before.
2009.
Yeah. Still, it just piggybacks
You're
off
right.
of that. War Crimes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, no one has anything positive to say about competitive Injustice 1.
The
I'll say that.
Flash, like fatality or whatever they were calling them in that
Yeah.
game, where he just like runs you off a building and punches you in the dick like 6 times.
Whichever you ever see, like, I don't know if you've ever looked at like tournament footage for vanilla Injustice. Superman is a he just like wins the game for free
it's the
off of
same
like
thing
a
in-
full screen move. Like
It's the same
you know,
thing in
like,
2 with Dr. Fate. Like you're just throwing ox at people.
It's what a fucked up game. What a fucked up game. I'll say that. But a good generation.
Yeah.
A good generation overall.
You see a lot of winners come out of it. Like it's experimental. A lot of new things were tried, right, with like P4 and Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but
Some hits, some misses, but like you said, it's got to carry the torch forward.
Yeah.
So, that brings us to what I call the Street Fighter V generation. Also, parenthesis, the Rocky generation. So we start in 2016 on this one with Street Fighter V, obviously the titular game for the generation. You also have GG Xrd Rev. So this is when Revelator finally drops. You have MKXL, trying to keep the hype for MKX going. You have KOF 14. You have BlazBlue Central Fiction. You have GG Rev 2 in 2017, a year later. You have Injustice 2 in 2017. You have MVCI in 2017. You have Tekken 7 in 2017. This would be called, for all of those keeping score at home, this is the Tekken 7 console release, so this is after Fated Retribution. For those who are like gonna, like I said at the beginning, console releases. So yes, I know Tekken 7 has been out
there.
I know Tekken 7 has been out in arcades for multiple years at this point. We're talking about T7 console release in America. 2017. 2018, you have Fighting EX Lair. Another one that I gave the honorable mention to. I know everyone's going to be like, we didn't include this, but we included... Yes, I included Fighting EX Lair. Okay? Sue me. Fuck you. Get out my mentions. BB Tag. Dragon Ball Fighters. Soul Calibur 6. Street Fighter V AE in 2018. Under Night In-Birth EX Latest, which is basically like the other update on top of late.
That's one that had Mika and Akatsuki in it, right?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
That's when they added the guest characters.
Right. And then 2019, you have DOA 6, MK11,
So
Sam
the
Show, the return of Sam Show in 2019.
Which also hasn't come back since.
2020, you have Grand Blue Fantasy Versus,
Goated.
Uni Clear, so the final version of Uni 1.
Unclear.
And then, Unclear, yeah. So, obviously, what are your initial thoughts here? So this one's a rocky generation because we got some serious missteps, especially early on in the years.
You're getting away from style and you're getting a lot into substance now because you're getting some real ugly games, right? KOF 14.
Oh boy,
MVCI.
Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, you're so
Injustice.
Right.
I mean, like MK and Injustice are just ugly games to begin with. I'm sorry, they're.
You can't. To be fair to those games, you cannot put them on the same layer as like launch Street Fighter 5 or MVCI or like KOF 14. Yeah.
But like they're still pretty grody to look at, man. Fighting X Lair is just rough.
It's an attempt. Yeah, it's an attempt.
It was to bring back the Street Fighter EX feel.
Nope,
right?
Exactly. Yes, they were trying to bring back that style of game.
But like,
also had a pay-to-win problem early on. Had to pivot off that. Yeah.
Who was really out here fiending for Street Fighter EX to come back?
I think EX Lair is definitely a holdover from like the Try generation. That we're gonna keep trying stuff for sure.
This is also the generation where you get all the SNK games like resurging because like KOF 14, Sam Show.
Well, yeah, this is like when they're showing up to the Fighting Games Are Back party, right?
Yeah.
It took them,
a little
4 years.
They had to inspect things, right? But
yeah.
I feel like it's just, I don't know. All those games
there
just
hits
look
and
the
misses
same.
there. You're right. Yeah, and I don't think like the return of Sam Show was cool. I don't think those were 10 out of 10 games.
DOA 6 doesn't look like a modern game at this point. Neither does Soul Calibur.
You're right. This is where DOA 6 feels very out of touch with like fighting games and like just in general.
Yeah.
Even the 3D fighter crowd. DOA feels like it's lost its step.
But it's a big year for anime, I will say.
Huge
Dragon Ball
for anime.
Dragon Ball
Fighters.
Uni Clear. Grand Blue.
Yep.
Man, anime fans were eating good this year, and I think this is the year.
Here's the deal: Grand Blue. We wanted to address the elephant in the room for Grand Blue. Boy, does Grand Blue 1 get fucked by COVID, man! Like, all the hype of that game is literally murdered
because it was released at a time when rollback was like becoming the standard.
Not a thing yet. Yeah, it wasn't even a thing yet.
It wasn't popular in games, but I think newer games were like getting it.
It was getting talked about.
Yeah, and so they're like, we're releasing this new game. But it doesn't have rollback.
Everything's online.
And then
for the next year.
Yeah, and then COVID hit and it was really, dude.
Yeah.
So unfortunate.
Killed it.
I'm glad
So, yeah,
Rising is
killed the
like
entire
doing
game.
okay now
Yeah,
though.
I agree. I also agree. I'm glad it got its
Shout out
second
the-
shot because you're right. It did kill that game.
Shout out the top 8 at CEO when we went, because it was just like 6 Puerto Ricans in a room playing
That's
Grand Blue.
W shit. But yeah, no, you're right. Big year for Dragon Ball Fighters, like you said.
Dragon
The
Ball
real
Fighters
elephant
is
of the room.
probably
2018
the biggest one.
took the world by storm.
Yes. And that was like the anime. That one kind of did what Skullgirls did, where it's like it's MVC3, but it's anime.
We were also it was one of the first games that I think caused this FGC player crossover deal that you never saw,
Yeah.
right? Where suddenly you had anime fans
It
playing
brought
against Street Fighter players
It brought
against
so many people into fighting games also, like the Dragon Ball
Exactly.
IP being that powerful.
Yeah, you
too.
had old school Marvel players showing up to play Dragon Ball Fighters. They're fighting, Lord Knight, anime supreme god, and
also
like,
a game that got
Leffen. Leffen being in the talk for best Dragon Ball Fighters player. Like Smash players were coming to play this shit.
also a game that got bodied by COVID though. No rollback when that was happening at its peak.
You're right, but it did get and to be fair, I do think some of the later updates might have bodied it a little bit before COVID.
Yeah, no,
But-
like Super Baby came out before COVID, and that was like an issue.
To the
On-
2020,
on release-
2019, yeah,
On release GT
Fighters
Goku.
on release GT Goku, on release Bardock, like both of those
Yeah.
characters, like
The Piccolo Millie Rock, or no, it was Cell. Sorry,
Cell.
the Cell
The
Millie Rock.
The Millie Rock TOD for Cell is iconic.
Yeah.
Probably should be in the game, but that video is iconic.
That game was like super jank, and everybody's like, "This is just anime shovelware," and they're like, "Wait, no, we can fix it," and then they fixed it, and it was great for like a year and a half, and then COVID hit, and everyone's like, "We can't play this great game. We're gonna do something else."
That first year was huge.
Yeah.
Like literally huge. 2018 Fighters, literally, you're right. It took the world by storm. It was massive. It is a massive year for anime because Rev, I think, also really gets Guilty Gear
Rev
in
2,
spotlight. Rev and Rev 2, I think both of them. The come up of Uni here, like Uni starts being talked about. Like I remember
Uni
this
being
is
mainstream was
yeah,
nuts.
where people are like because this is Street, and you kind of have Street Fighter V's fall off to blame for this, right? If we want to talk about the early parts that are being rough, Street Fighter V launch is like a panned release. Like we kind of all look back fondly because it got there after in this generation, right? Street Fighter V AE, the 2018 version, 2 years later, mind you. That one is really where people are starting to be like, this game's good. Trust it. Like, yes, Street Fighter V, all the problems. The game, as it stands now, is a good game, guys. It's got characters. It's got features. It's all here. Does it look the best? No. But, game good. We're really getting there with Street Fighter V AE in 2018. But you do have to say, all the come up of Uni, the come up of Guilty Gear.
So that's where you get like peak low tier god, man. Street
Right.
Fighter V is where you get peak low tier god.
All of these things I do attribute to Street Fighter V kind of falling off.
That might be
People
the
being
thumbnail.
very upset with 2016's Street Fighter V release. And like kind of being like, well, fuck, and maybe looking around and being like, it's this Guilty Gear game that just got a new version. What's this? Because that was like the Uni claim to fame, right? Wasn't it the whole thing where Street Fighter players are just like, we want a game with footsies. We can't play anime. And like every Uni player is like, we'll just play Uni. That's like what our game is. Like, we're the footsie anime.
play Grand
game.
Blue.
Like that. Well, that became
that's later,
Yeah, you're
right?
right. Yeah,
But
that
yeah.
was later. But like at the time, everyone's just like,
Uni's
oh,
like,
you want
you want to play
neutral?
Melty?
You want to play neutral? You want to play this side? I think play Under Night. Like,
You want to play Melty, but without all the crazy air shit?
yeah.
Uni.
No, you're right. And you're right. There are some. This is the start of So Tekken 7, from what I know about the arcade era of Tekken 7, that game is also considered pretty rough, pretty unbalanced, very small roster at base Tekken 7 until Fate of Retribution. When we finally get to the console release in 2017, Tekken 7 starts taking off. Like, that's where this game really hit a big stride that, like, led it to last the next.
This was also the generation.
6-7 years. Like,
This was also the generation where the call for crossplay was that much bigger. right? Because now,
Yeah, we were calling for everything, right? People were calling for better online because we were
Mhm.
like, this is unacceptable. Like especially obviously COVID kind of pushed that agenda really hard. But even prior to COVID, people had already been saying it. Like, hey,
because you get the
we
rise of
need better online.
Fightcade
We
and
need better
Parsec.
online. Yeah. It's like we need better online. These games need to be online playable. We need this shit like to work. You see kind of the death of Marvel a little bit with MVCI.
Just got
Obviously
a
that
huge
game.
mod though.
Yeah, I meant to
Infinity
shout it
Vault
out and it
and
kind of slipped my
beyond.
mind. People should check that out. A totally fan like Maximilian dude put that game on his back, built together a team of like 40 people to put just a fan passion project to kind of reboot MVCI with new
Updated
music, new
graphics,
graphics, yeah,
New
like
characters.
new characters, new mechanic, like
Dude,
full balance patch.
I feel like Brick House Chris Redfield is in that.
No, yeah, like
Sick.
it's a full overhaul done for free. All you got to do is buy MVCI. It's the only thing you need to buy the game. The mod is free, completely overhauled.
Yup.
Sick.
I might do that,
Fucking
bro. It's
cool
on
as
sale.
shit. Yeah, and that's the thing. MVCI right now is on sale. I think you can get it for less than $10.
We'll find out. I'm gonna find
I
out
think
the
it's
best
legit.
deal right here live.
I think legit Steam winter sale right now. That game is like less than $10 for MVCI right now. And
If
like
you're
I
not
said, they
playing
just
Marvel
dropped it.
Rivals, yeah, it is
They
$7 right now. On
$7 at the
on
moment of
Steam.
recording this. Yeah. And like I said, that game just got a
80%
huge,
off.
yeah, a huge passion project mod to overhaul it. Like
The
just
deluxe edition-
doing it for the love of the game type shit.
Deluxe edition is $11.99.
And that's hella DLC characters. Real
Yep.
shit. Like, I don't know, man. Like, you gotta shout out to that. Like, definitely big shout out to that. Huge shout out to Max. Shout out to that team. Like, love, passion, into that shit. We love to see it.
God,
But-
it's the core of esports, man. Like
Yeah.
the fighting game community. Gotta love
100%.
it.
Back to the era at hand, though.
So,
Release MVCI. Not happy.
rough.
Not making a lot
I
of
feel like a
people
lot of
happy.
it was the art style too. Said at the start, it's just like
It's
an ugly
definitely-
generation.
Ugly. It's got bad lighting. The mechanics are hit or miss. The balancing's kind of hit or miss, especially early on. They had that really jank Capcom Cup where you would get Infinity Stones that could like do things in the tournament.
Yeah,
Just a terrible fucking gimmick. Like they were trying to like copy the Dragon Ball, collect the Dragon Ball thing, but like
which is
oh,
a goated
God,
mechanic.
I
Is
know.
like bring back your tag partner, something like that.
Well, no, I'm saying like you're right. In the Infinity Stones in the game, not bad. I'm actually talking about on the esports side of that shit, where like
Mm.
Bandai Namco ran the Dragon Ball World Tour with like the Dragon Ball thing, which was like a little whack, and then like fucking Capcom Pro Tour tried to basically they were like, okay, we'll get MVCI its own Pro Tour,
And
but like
incorporate
we're
that.
gonna add an Infinity Stone gimmick because like why not?
Do you think
No.
Disney
Just don't touch it.
kind of learned from that experience with their esports for Marvel Rivals?
I would hope.
Kind of see
I
what
would.
you need for a
I mean,
scene.
I almost feel like obviously like Disney has come and gone with gaming a million times. They, I think they've built a gaming division and then killed it twice, like quite literally. I would hope that if they're a little more open to this shit now, they just give it to other people and let them do it.
Yeah.
I think obviously if you believe the backroom talk, MVCI suffered from the Disney shit because they were like, well, no X-Men because we can't put them in a movie, so you can't have X-Men in your MVCI.
Can now, baby. MVCI 2.
Yeah, no,
The
true.
next Marvel 4, baby. Give me Marvel 4.
But you
I
know,
guess 5.
that's-
'cause-
I guess that's actually you actually have coined the better name for this generation more so than the Rocky generation. This it is the rise of anime generation for
Yeah.
sure. Like that is 100% this
You gotta give
the
it some,
previous
like,
gen,
gotta give
last
it some,
gen,
like,
the rise of
bullshit
anime.
title. Dude, even like the guest characters, we're gonna just allude to guest characters this whole time because it's a big thing in this one also. This is like when you had 2B in every game.
Soul Calibur 6 does get 2B. That game's good too. Like it kind of flies under the radar, I think, because it's surrounded by so many games that were taking so much light
And
at the
also
time. But
5 didn't do that well, so everybody's
Yeah.
just kind of like disenfranchised with Soul Calibur 6.
But like, yeah, 6 is cool.
The
6 has
customization is nuts.
Geralt and 2B, bro.
Yeah.
Both sick. way better than Ezio.
Granblue has 2B also, and so does, we're gonna get to it, Melty.
Well, that doesn't happen until this generation, but you're right. Granblue does get 2B later on.
She's in 3 games.
Yeah, actually. But fucking it's definitely the rise of anime generation, and that kind of sets the stage for the current generation, right? The one that exists now, which is kind of the post-COVID generation. So 2021, this generation is actually started not by a Street Fighter, not by a Tekken, but by Guilty Gear.
Cue the
Strive.
music, because it's like what happens every time. Smell the
2021, game. 2021, Guilty Gear Strive. In a way, you're right. Propped up. Why?
We forgot Smash again. 2018.
Okay, yeah. So you're right. 2018.
Ultimate, I think, was a bigger deal than 4. You have.
I agree with you.
You have all your guest characters, right? With Cloud being huge. You have some of the most insane, impossible stuff happen for Ultimate. We get Sephiroth. We get 2 Square characters as DLC with Sephiroth and Sora. We get Kazuya Mishima.
You do get Kazuya Mishima.
We get Terry Bogard. Game. We get an ode to fighting games within Smash as everybody's least favorite fighting game. Not a fighting game that is a fighting game that's not a fighting game, right?
Yep.
And it's the care that goes into all of that. I've rewatched the Terry trailer a trillion times, and my favorite version. To be fair,
he's an Art of Fighting guy. Sakurai, dude, known Art of Fighting man.
The whole reason Smash exists, and we're going a little tirade here, is because he was a fan of 98, and he whooped this dude at an arcade in front of his girlfriend.
This is the girlfriend thing, right?
Yeah, so bad that he went and he made his own more accessible fighting game, which is why Smash is the way it is. Which is also why you have
it has KOF the mechanics it does.
In Smash, you have rolls, you have spot dodges,
you have short hops.
No,
yeah, it's funny. That was something that dawned on me later when when he talked about being such a big fan of Art of Fighting and KOF.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that's literally where he pulled the movement from the short hops, the step dash into runs, all of it. It's all there. Spot dodge, roll, and but yeah, no, you're right. Like I said, same thing. And I agree with you. I think if we're talking about, obviously,
it's also one of the premier games this generation.
Yeah, I'm Melee through and through. But yes, Ultimate is. Brawl falls off a fucking cliff, and it's a bad game.
Yes, Project M
we are
is
slowly,
the better version.
we are slowly reclimbing the mountain to try to get back to greatness. And Ultimate is the closest we've gotten so far. Yeah. Do I think it's close enough for me to want to play it? No, but it's the closest we've gotten.
I don't think it's ever going to get there. I understand the sentiment of the argument that Melee,
totally
that primary Melee fans and competitive Melee players will make, where it's mechanics aren't there. Those mechanics exist because of bugs, and
here's the deal.
I don't want to say exploits, but
to be fair, as someone who's played Rivals of Aether and Rivals of Aether 2, that's your game. You're not going to get Melee in Smash form again, but if you're a Melee player and you're looking for the next iteration of your game, it's Rivals of Aether.
Yep.
Straight up.
There's also, that's it. I think Combo Devils is the name of the game that's coming out or is out.
Maybe. I've never played it, so I can't speak to that one.
It's another indie platform fighter that was announced or teased a little while back. That I don't know if it's out yet, but it looks interesting. It's got Melee inspiration definitely on it.
True.
Same with that other one that got rebranded into a completely different game.
I think I know which one you're talking about for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I don't think we will ever get a Smash that's supposed to be Melee-like anymore, because they obviously wanted to take that franchise a different direction. That's all been known and talked about.
And competitive Melee, like I was saying before, exists as it is because of the limitations and the
strange physics interaction. It's a lightning in the bottle. It's a lightning in the bottle game. Yeah.
It's a perfect start. If that game cooked for another year, Melee would be totally different than what it is now.
No, it's a lightning in the bottle game, 100%.
Which is fine. And I think that's
the stars align.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I'm not saying this to like put Melee down or be a bad thing. I'm just, it's
No, you're right.
that's just that's the way it is. That's just the way it is.
Okay, so yeah, 2021 GGST. Also 2021 Melty Blood Type Lumina, the return of Melty Blood. 2021 VF5 Ultimate Showdown. I threw it in there because it's in there. 2022 DNF Duel. KOF 15. 2023 we have Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. Street Fighter 6, MK1, almost said 11 again. 2024 Tekken 8 and Uni 2. So this is like what we talked about, where it's kind of this like almost in a modern golden era.
Yeah.
The sensibilities are different, right? We've kind of moved beyond the multi-version shit you saw in the past with like Rev 2s and Street Fighter Arcade Editions
We
and
exist in a
Super
digital
Turbo
era where you can just update the game instead of
right,
having
we've
to
hit
re-release it.
the full on, and granted they kind of hit this in Street Fighter 5, right? Street
Yeah.
Fighter 5 is the first, and Tekken 7 to take the crack at this of the seasonal model.
Your game has patch notes
Every
now.
year we get a new season, big balance updates, maybe some new moves, obviously DLC characters along the way, all this stuff. We've got that. We've got a honestly stacked and diverse roster of games. You've got KOFs here with a really good addition. 15's a lot of fun, sick game.
Way prettier than 14.
Definitely prettier than 14. Not my favorite, but they're actively like honing that style, making a better looking game.
Listen, I'm
GGST, which is
it's pretty.
yeah, Strive
the
is still, in my opinion, one of the best 3D in 2D games like ever made. Like it's just it's beautiful.
Ed's
Like,
Arxis has perfected that art style. It's
exactly.
it's their bread and butter.
Yeah. Strive is the perfected version of that. Type Lumina, a cool game. Like a really cool, just like solid anime game. DNF Duel, not great. But a game.
It's a fun casual game. You want to mash buttons.
It
make
is.
some cool
It
stuff
is a
happen.
casual game. Yes.
Yeah. Like that.
yeah.
That game in a competitive capacity is just a snooze fest to watch, but as a game to play, it's a lot of fun. Hitting buttons is a lot of fun. A lot of flashy stuff.
It's flashy. It looks good. But yeah, I definitely am not trying to play it for longer than an hour.
What's that boss character where he's like floating on a galaxy or whatever that you can unlock in that game? Has an
Lost
unlockable
Warrior.
Yeah, has an unlockable character, by the way, which is like you don't see that at all outside of Smash.
Yep. And you shouldn't. That's a whole different thing.
I don't know,
but
man.
You should.
I don't know, man. I like the unlockable character. It incentivizes me to keep playing the game.
Yeah, what if I want to play that character from the jump?
So just unlock it first. I don't know.
So invest 3 hours into a character I don't want to play the character I want to play.
Dude, you're just mashing buttons through an arcade mode. Like, it's not that serious.
My point is, if we're talking about accessibility, you should never tell someone, play the character you don't want to play the character you want to play.
Sure.
Period.
Sure, I understand that, but at the same time, as a overall game feel and like nostalgia.
It doesn't have to, I know what you're saying. It doesn't have to be characters. Do other stuff. Costumes.
Sure.
Colors.
Sure. Okay.
Any stages. Should never be characters.
About hidden characters. How do you feel about hidden characters?
Sure, if you're gonna do like the dumb thing that like BlazBlue and Guilty Gear did with like shadow variants or like gold variants, like that
even
stuff,
like
even
like
I don't
older
care.
Street Fighters, right? Like you didn't know those characters. You didn't know Akuma was on the roster until you like finished the game, and then like you could play as him or something.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think hidden bosses in an arcade mode is one thing. Like that's fine. You should do that. That's like cool. You know, the whole like what was it like?
That's more of where I'm coming from with the
that stuff
characters.
that stuff is fine. I'm saying if you're gonna do like the busted variations, you know, where it's like, oh, you can play as like a shadow version of Soul who has unlimited meter.
Yeah,
That's
you
like,
can unlock
that shit for fun. Like whatever, I don't care. But if we're talking about like these are the characters you can play in an online mode, all of those characters should be opened up and playable from the jump. Period.
Okay.
End of story.
I get that.
Good capital game. Granblue gets brought back as a rollback enabled, tweaked. It obviously has the a few years of like patches, kind of to them honing that game. Re-releases as a more complete, package that isn't going to be fucked by terrible online. You get Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising, which is a really cool game that was plagued by bad character balancing for its first season. That is actually what killed that game for me, legit. I can't believe Nier went unchecked for as long as she did. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
Fuck that character. Like straight up. That's all I can say about this game. Like right now, like obviously we've kind of moved past that. We're in like a new era for that game, which is sick because the game itself is cool. But holy fuck! Ooh, I mean, we're talking about like the era.
I have to still pick that one up.
What's up?
Is
might be yeah. I don't know. Fantasy vs. Rising might be, but yeah, God, fuck Nier. Holy shit! What a nightmare.
It's still $25 game, but
$25 game. Good game though. Good game. Like you said, a lot of cool DLC characters. 2B, the God Lady Vazaraga or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. The deluxe edition is $37.49 USD.
There you go.
Why is it similar to Dota 2? Why is that the symbol?
Roster of champions.
It's like Dota 2 and Guilty Gear Strive are the two games that it's similar to. The girl from Uma Musume is in this, or am I just looking at a different thing?
I have no idea.
That's like the horse racing anime girl anime.
I don't think so. But there is
no. It's part of the Cygames sale. That's why. Okay.
There you go.
That's what I'm like tweaking about.
Okay.
That like took me off guard. I'm like, they put the horse girl in this game.
Yeah. Street Fighter 6, massive launch, huge, like blew everyone away from the jump. Literally just
stylistically, the aesthetics.
They clearly learned their lesson from 5's launch, where they're like,
graffiti in that game is sick.
Yeah, we can't fucking wait. What did you say?
All the graffiti in that game is sick.
Oh, okay. I thought you said all the themes in that game are sick, and I was actually like, no, that's actually the worst part about that game is its music. Yeah. That's the one area that I will contest anyway. There are like 2 good songs in the base game of Street Fighter 6. Legit. The music is not on par.
Did they ever do anything else with like the in-game shoutcasting?
I don't know. They probably added some people or some shit. I never turned that shit on. But like I'm sure they've done something with it.
I remember like they announced at A Game Awards that they added like 2 new Japanese announcers or something like that.
They added the one dude who's like apparently like a Japanese sumo wrestler commentator, and he's got like Rockstar face paint and a like a Warhawk. I don't know.
It's kind of awesome.
Pretty wild, yeah. But yeah, so that game comes out, like I said, just blows everyone out of the water. Like it's a massive release. The game is well received. People love it. Got a story mode, got single player elements, got all this stuff, and it's a fucking awesome time. MK1 reboots Mortal Kombat. It is fucking hated.
It's pretty though, except on the Switch.
Unless you're playing on the Switch, yeah. I was gonna say,
but nothing.
That's not their fault. That's not their fault. Yeah. I was gonna say that's not their fault. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It is pretty. But yeah, definitely a divisive game. I think everyone can agree with that.
Megan Fox has the best performance on that game.
I mean, you can't be worse than Ronda Rousey.
It's I think it's up to the same level, man. I honestly think that Megan Fox is the Ronda Rousey Sonya of this game. Like it's
a big yikes,
man.
Yeah, divisive game.
Yeah.
We'll say. Yeah. Tekken 8. Similarly divisive in some weird ways, but kind of not. Like, I don't know. Tekken 8 at launch is very good. It has a really good story mode, a lot of good single player stuff, great online that's very fun.
They got people on board with that opening trailer. They're like, dude, this is... I remember the
and the game's great. Like, bitches about balancing aside, because I know there's a lot of people like that go back and forth about the competitive nature of 8 and like, oh, is it too aggressive, yada yada. I think we need to stop pretending that 7 was like this perfect Saint game because low parry was fucking broken.
That's just how old fighting
yeah,
game is.
like,
It's like
I
old
don't
fighting
know,
game
yeah.
was better because I know more about it because I played it for
Right.
longer than new fighting
Yeah,
game,
you're right.
but nobody wants to admit that.
Yeah, package aside, like, yeah, Tekken 8, fucking great game. Like, Uni 2 comes out, great game. Yeah, it's weird to talk about this era because, like, we're living in it, right? And I think more when I bring up this era, like, obviously, yeah, this era is kind of like a golden goose, one of the better ones, easily in the top 2 of the ones here, in my opinion. I don't know about you, but I think if you, like, look across the board, like, it's got to be top 2.
Oh yeah, no, like we see the best parts about the previous generations where it's like you have perfected versions of older games, and then you have these new games that are
You've
also
eliminated,
just great.
yeah, you've eliminated these antiquated buying models that
Yes.
were stuck with for so long, like.
Like we're
And-
getting patches now. We live in a digital age. We're using the modern technology we have with
Right.
to our advantage. now.
You're right. Online has hit a place where like everyone's is good.
Every
Tekken 8
game
Online
has
is
rollback.
Great. GGST is great. Fucking Grand Blue FR great. KOF 15 great. Like all these games you can play
When
online
are we
whenever
going
you
to get to a
want.
point where games can stop listening to the fact that they have rollback netcode because it should just be a standard and you shouldn't have to announce it as a selling point for your game anymore?
I will say this: it will never go away. It will always be a selling point. But like you
Like
know, whatever
VF6
keeps it in the mind's eye. Yeah.
VF6 being like, it's got rollback, and I'm like, it cool. Like I figured it would. Why are we selling people on this now?
I think you have to say it for any franchise that hasn't had it previously, though. I think
Release
that's
a
like a
game
fair
and say it
point.
has
Yeah.
delay-based netcode. Try to sell people on that. Just be like,
That'd be funny.
2026.
Be the control guys. We're bringing it back.
We're bringing it back.
Delay-based netcode.
you advertise on like a classic fighting game experience, and like one of your selling points is delay-based netcode. It's
That
pure,
would actually-
not even.
that's
It's
kinda
peer to
sick,
peer.
yeah.
It's directly peer to peer. You have to get somebody's IP to play online.
That's actually
It only runs on a Discord LFG.
yeah. It is the Discord fighter return. You have to ask people if they want to play. There is no matchmaking.
Yeah.
That would actually be really funny.
Yeah.
So I guess after now that we've gone through kind of the hits and misses of these generations, what do you think? Give me your tier list of gens 1 through 4 of
All right.
like how you rank them from golden era to least golden era.
Number 1, probably the current generation, the modern age. Right? I think that
Okay.
I think we've gotten to a point where fighting games, with what we know now, with what we've experienced, studios know what needs to be done. Even our indies right now are great. Like we go back to Skullgirls, and that pioneered a standard for indie fighting games to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Outside
with
of
that.
outside of just like JPEGs sliding across the screen, like you look at some of the smaller ones we
it
had.
wasn't just Mugen. It wasn't just Mugen anymore.
Yeah, what's that one browser one where like they're all, it's like lovers something?
Oh God, Lovers in not Lovers in Danger. I know which one you're talking
Yeah.
about. I was gonna say Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time, but it's not that.
Punch Planet, Them's Fighting
Yeah.
Herds,
Them's Fighting
right?
Herds,
All
right?
super stylish, all super polished, super good. There's more coming out, right? So even outside of the AAA space, we've reached a point where fighting games are held to a standard, and fighting games are well respected enough, and the Guilty Gear can be attributed to this. The openness to try fighting games has gone up significantly because of that, right? Because of how
Correct.
good Gear looked, right? You've got people that have never touched a fighting game who have vehemently like just denied playing a fighting game because, oh, it's too hard. Oh, I have to learn all these mechanics. Oh, I just get my ass beat every time I play them. That are now like going all in on them and getting super invested. That's great.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the games in this generation. Now, that being said, all the games before that led up to this, so give them their
Sure.
flowers.
I mean, it's not. I totally disagree with the notion that like, oh, this is the best. All other gens are shit. That's
Yeah.
not true. Like, there's good games and all that. You can play most of the games we've listed across these generations and have a good time. Central Fiction's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Like, Chrono Phantasma's fucking sick.
That being said,
Uniclear is fucking sick. Like, yeah.
that being said, I think
P4
the
Ultimax.
second one, P4
Yeah,
Ultimax.
just to say,
Yeah.
P4 Ultimax. Like, once again, I said it before, I'll say it again. that game fucks, and you can't get another version of that game right now. There is no sequel to it yet.
You just gotta run it
P4
as
Old West
is.
is fucking sick. Like,
But next up on the list, I think Generation 3, to kind of piggyback off of we're at a place where fighting games are now because of
the movers and shakers
the movers and,
generation.
yes,
Right?
Skullgirls, right? Uni, EX Late, Second Encore. I already said Skullgirls, my fault.
Yeah. No,
P-
yeah. Second Encore.
P4,
You're right.
Ultimate Street
P4
Fighter,
Ultimax,
Smash
yeah.
4, right? The KI Revival,
Fine. Yeah. The
which
KI Revival.
honestly
big,
didn't
yeah.
do that great, but a big budget like Western studio
And,
like
and you
Microsoft
want
putting
to
out.
talk about rollback. That you're looking at it like
Yeah.
that's the game that pioneered
It has,
rollback in high budget fighting games.
has the best
It was the
online
one.
from that generation. Yeah. Street
Yeah,
Fighter
for a
Cross
while,
Tekken
that had people said Killer Instinct had better online than Street Fighter V. Like like that
did,
for years. I mean, yeah,
simple
you're right.
as it did.
I'm not. Yeah.
right? But I want to tie this one up with Gen 2 or the Street Fighter 5 generation.
The rise of anime generation. Yeah.
Right, because as an anime fan, I have to. I can't separate these two because I just feel like all the games that came out around this time were kind of similar in scope. But
Yeah.
you have like the improvements in the future generation. But
Yeah,
still-
most of your mainstays take up the seasonal model, right? Your Tekken
Yeah.
7s and Street Fighter 5s, even your Dragon Ball Fighters, right? As to where like the anime games like Blaze Blue and Xrd didn't fully kick it. I guess you could say Xrd was flirting with it, right? Because that's kind of what Rev 2 was, like a little bit. I think you
Right.
still had to pay for Rev 2, but like, they were moving away from like printing
I
all
don't
new
think
discs.
was Rev 2 a separate game. Like you get to get Rev and then Rev 2.
So Rev 2 was an update.
It was an update
It
to
was
Revelator.
not a separate game.
you had to buy
it was
Revelator.
but yes, you did have to buy Revelator. Like there were two different discs. There was
Yes.
Xrd Sign and Xrd Revelator.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but still, like the peak of Guilty Gear, which made it possible for Strive to exist, right? They
Yeah.
perfected their art style
It made
across those
inroads. I was to
games.
say it's where they took up their modern art style with Sign. Yeah,
So
and then got better with it at Rev.
I
yeah.
feel like both of those generations can kind of sit at the same level. And then, you have the one that started all with Brawl
The
and,
Renaissance.
the renaissance of Street Fighter 4, because like you're still kind of feeling that classic fighting game feel. Like you're still coming out of the arcades to home consoles now, right? You're jumping off. It's been a while since we've got anything, so you're kind of playing to your strengths with the arcade feel of a lot of them. So
Yeah. It feels like almost like a proof of concept generation, right? Where
Like-
they're reminding people these games are still good.
Yeah.
You can still play them.
like it didn't feel particularly new, right? It felt like it was still in the arcades. Like these games were still being ported and not getting serviced as well as they are getting now. But you start to see that model, like they start experimenting with that a bit more, like especially with Street Fighter 4, where you start getting that like seasonal model for the home fighting games.
Yeah.
So, and of course,
Yeah.
13, MVC3, UMVC3 being massive games. Brawl single-handedly selling the Wii. Because, like, what else did we have? Metroid Other M? Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
So, oh, and Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Yeah, I went back and forth on that one. That it didn't end up making the list.
I don't think it's like
but you're right.
influential as a
You're
part of the
right.
list, but it
Yeah.
was another Wii game that I feel like
You're
could be
right. No,
mentioned
I mean,
alongside
yeah,
Brawl.
you and I, we got love for that game. I got love for.
Listen,
love
I
for
like
game.
that.
I like the aesthetic a lot.
I like that a couple of those characters just take up the entire screen.
Yes, very funny. And the fact that certain grappler supers have to change in order to accommodate that, very funny.
It's awesome. It also has the Battle of the Planets characters in it,
Yes.
which is super underrated. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair list. I think I am also of the feel of like current generation, probably my favorite of the ones listed. After that, I probably have to I'm going to be boring I'm gonna be boring, and I'm gonna say I think it does go current gen, Rise of Anime Gen, Gen 3 Movers and Shakers, and then Gen 4 Renaissance.
Yep.
That being said, I will give an honorable mention to obviously Ultimate vs. Capcom 3. I think that game, though it's a game that I hold in high regard, even though I don't think it's perfect. I don't really have a desire to play it now. Obviously, there's a ton fucked up about that game. Zero May Cry is a one-touch death team. Obviously, that's not fucking fun. Phoenix is an unfun ass character. There's all sorts of shit like that in that game.
Yeah.
But it exists, that game is very much of an era, and I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad of what it's done, and I'm glad I like what it contributed to the culture. And I feel very like that about Street Fighter 4. And I have a personal fondness for AE, because this is a feature that I wish would come back more, to be honest, and I'm kind of sad. When I was a kid, do you know something I would do to entertain myself for hours with Street Fighter 4? Legit hours. I would put the CPU on the hardest difficulty, and I would just run CPU versus CPU matches in Street Fighter 4. I would just watch it. It was fucking great.
It's kind of hype.
Awesome. It was sick as fuck. It was so cool. I loved that feature. And it's kind of gone now. I actually don't think most things do it anymore. I haven't seen a game in ages that's had it, to be honest with you.
Smash Bros.
Yeah, that one. Your fucking amiibos, train them.
Dude, the crazy amiibo stuff that you can do, some of those are really hype, man.
I believe you.
Listen, all I'm saying is an anime platform fighter would go crazy. Think about the CPU battles, the tasks that you can run, frame perfect, crazy anime moves.
No, I agree. And like I said, I have a big fondness for both AE and Ultra, for that matter. Both of those versions. Street Fighter 4. But yeah, I'm gonna be boring and say it goes in that regard. So follow-up question, the kind of capstone I wanted to tie all this together, now that we've talked about each generation and put them together, the thing that I wanted to throw to you, because I'm curious what you have to say. So obviously we started all this by saying VF's back, right? That was kind of our segue in, the return of Virtua Fighter. Probably not 2025, probably 2026.
Yeah.
But there is stuff notably on the horizon. 2XKO, right on the horizon. Guard, City of the Wolves. I did. Yeah, I mean they're going for 2025 release. This is known facts. Yeah, I was gonna say I almost guarantee that game will be out late
in February.
Yep. We'll see. I guarantee you there's probably an announcement of another one, a second wave of beta.
It'll probably be an Evo
Alpha, whatever they go. Yeah, I would say it'll probably be an Evo again. I expect that game probably out in the second half of next year. Garou Mark of the Wolves, we know, or City of the Wolves. That game's coming out next year. We know that one's coming out. VF probably doesn't make 2025, but maybe it's a 2026 game. So I ask you,
if the earliest Q4, but yeah.
Yeah. I ask you, do you think the 2XKO and the Garou City of the Wolves, are those going to be part of our current generation, or do you think those games are going to be the ones that are the transitional games in the way that Street Fighter V was or GGST was to bring in the era after the one where are those the start points of the new era?
I've got a weird thing to say about this. It depends on which one comes out first. If Garou comes out, it's still part of the current generation. You're going to give that
part of this era. Okay.
2XKO, I think,
kind of respect that.
The start of a new generation. Right, and not just because
that's kind of how I feel.
Mechanically and everything, but the influx of new fighting game players and fans that you will get from that game kind of just marks a new era of fighting game fans, and it also challenges the current models of fighting games that we have now, and
I
how
do
that's
think
going to shape up going forward.
You're right. And I do think there's more shakeup coming with it, just in the atmosphere, right? Obviously, Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 are here to stay for a while. They're pretty fresh. Both of those games are on. Well, Street Fighter 6 is on its second year, and I mean, Tekken 8 just wrapped up its first year. So obviously, those guys are, they're fresh. They're new kids on the block. we've got probably a good 3 to 4 more years at both of those games. So those are going to be like kind of cross-generational, right, in the way that they work. This may very well, and I think a lot of people have the idea that this might be Strive's last season. And there's presumably another Guilty Gear game on the horizon after this one. So it's like, even if 2XKO didn't mark it, which I agree with you, I'm kind of in the thing where I think 2XKO might be the marker for the next generation.
Right. The live service fighting game is on the horizon.
Even around that game, you will have, like I said, big hitter influxes, like a new Guilty Gear. Maybe a new BlazBlue. That shit's been dormant for a while.
Give me a free-to-play
eventually
BlazBlue.
Eventually a new virtual fighter. Like, so yeah, I was curious what you'd say, but yeah, I agree. I totally think 2XKO might be the marker of the next generation, the start of the next generation of fighting game.
And we're seeing now that I like joked about MVC 5 or 4 or whatever is going to be the next one. But with that being back all in Disney's hands, it's more possible that we get a new one. Right?
No, and it's, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up, because that brings up my old point where it's like another part of this generation that's not, you don't see it reflected in the new games, right? But in the fact that these old games, like I said, with SVC Chaos coming back,
yeah,
Capcom is basically putting out, in my opinion, Capcom is putting out the message. They're saying, listen, and you have to, if you're a smart company, you see the writing on the wall. Like, you see all these people talking about 2XKO. Yep. You as like an old guard, I think someone's got to be beating the drum at Capcom for like, we're the versus guys. Let's get a versus game out. You know,
rather give me a 2XKO free to play like live service style CVS game or a Marvel game.
That to me is the interesting question of the next generation. That's another one. I'm curious what you think. Which do you think is first? A new CVS or a new MVC? I almost think a new CVS, which might sound crazy to some people, but I actually think working with Disney is harder than people think. Yeah.
So I think it's actually an MVC because they're still working on Garo. I don't think they have put aside the resources to start a CVS game. And it doesn't have to be like.
To be fair,
I don't think
CVS would be developed by SNK though. I think Capcom will do it.
The whole thing.
Yes. I think obviously they'll have to get approvals and stuff, and maybe mild assistance from SNK. But I don't.
The whole charm of CVS, and I feel like that would kind of deter fans of the series if it was strictly just Capcom, because the SNK, the artwork and the sprite art and everything, like the redoing of all that for CVS 2, was kind of what made that game so popular. Right, outside of like the.
But here's the deal.
That,
I also think we exist in a world like there's no way CVS is being sprite art.
Right? No, absolutely not.
Like I don't. Yeah, there's
absolutely
no shot.
No, it's. If I had to,
it's either gonna be an RE engine, or it's which like. I don't even think there's a question, right? Like, sure, you could maybe put it in the Garo City of the Wolves engine, but like, I just don't think Capcom's gonna be like, no, like put it in fucking RE engine. Like, what are you saying?
Capcom, unless here's how it works internally. You let Capcom use the Garo engine to build it.
They love their engine so much.
They love RE engine. I know they do.
They love their engine so much.
Onimusha looks so good in RE engine.
And I'm not even trying to shit on I think it's a great looking engine. I'm actually
Okami in RE engine, man. Like, come on.
No, it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, I love the RE engine. I think they've finally got themselves a really, really good engine. But yeah, I just don't see a world where CVS isn't just on RE engine. Like,
I feel like with CVS, if they do a third one, they're gonna want to include more. Like the problem with the first one or the second one was the lack of like Capcom characters, and it was just Street Fighter for the most part.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you have like a fighting game against other fighting game characters, right? But there was like very little inclusion of other Capcom properties in that game, if any. So so I feel like if they're gonna do a versus game, it's gonna be the Marvel versus Capcom. Marvel is working, like, they're going ham on their games, right? NetEase putting out Marvel Rivals, Snap doing as good as it did. It's time for new.
I mean, you're right.
Like Marvel 2 being the most hyped thing to come out in like involving Marvel and Capcom.
I think obviously that is a big step in the direction of like someone's trying to get a new one out, right? The fact that someone was putting in work to get the old ones re-released and like kind of drum up the hype of Marvel versus Capcom again is a big deal, right?
Like,
I don't think that's like a
I think
coincidence.
it's already like in the works. Like I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat. I feel like it's already in the works. You know, working the shadows, doing all that. Like it's happening. That's why there was no fighting game release or announcements made at Game Awards or anything recently. Like we'll have to wait for developer roundtable to see what they're planning for the future of like 6 and stuff like that. But
I don't know. I just wonder. I wonder who's if it is being hard developed right now. Like
Yeah.
let's say they're in Marvel vs. Capcom like dev.
yeah,
mode.
they are in at
Who's
least
doing
the
it?
talking things.
Like that is what I wonder. Like personnel wise, like who's directing that? Because it's like I don't think I forget their names, but the two guys that head up Street Fighter 6, like
Yeah.
I don't think they're off 6. Like those guys are on 6.
No.
Like yeah,
It might be 1 on 6, 1 on Marvel.
I don't even think that's true. I think those guys are pretty linked in the sense that like those guys are like on 6.
Yeah.
Like so it's like, do you have someone at the studio that you entrusted that with? Like who would that be? I don't know.
So it's yeah, I mean it's gonna. I hope we get. So I'm like reading myself here, but because Garo isn't out, we get Garo, MVC, CVS. That's like kind of the two companies pipeline for a game like that.
Yeah,
And then-
no, I mean, like I said, I think it's more possible than ever, which is saying something.
But we
and
get
obviously a game like that would be a part of this.
We get a
this next
CVS
future
2
generation.
re-release with rollback on Steam in a collection. We get a CVS collection.
Oh, I think SVC Chaos is laying the groundwork for that
Yeah,
exact thing.
That's
exactly what
like
you're talking
that's the
about.
teaser
Yeah.
for it. Yeah, we
No,
get our
100%.
we got our big CVS collection. It shows the artwork because everybody loves that. It'll have couple like niche SNK games on it,
Yeah.
right? You'll get like Puzzle Fighter 2 again for like the 800th time, but now you can play as Kyo or something in it. I don't know.
Yeah, all the marketing around SVC Chaos like coming back wasn't like SVC Chaos is back. It was like, hey, Capcom and SNK are like we're working together. Like we're actively talking to each other and we have a good working relationship. Like that was what mattered for that release.
Yeah. I think fighting games, it's exciting. Love it. We will
It's a good time, man.
we'll be at a
It's
few events the coming year. So look out for that.
No, 100%. It's a good time, and yeah, it's interesting because I definitely think we are kind of at the sunset of this generation. Not in a bad way, because like I said, we've got a lot to look forward to.
The future
but it's
is
interesting.
ever brighter.
Yeah.
And
But yeah,
but, you know,
no.
sound
Good
off
chat.
below. You know, let us know what you guys think is if our generations are correct. If you have something, don't talk about Aquapaws, Million Arthur, Blade Stranger. I don't want to hear it. We've been.
I
through
don't
this.
care. I did not include Blade Strangers on the list. You're correct. I didn't do it.
Bro, the
Melty
Nicalis
Blood made it
fighting
in,
game,
and Blade Strangers didn't. Out my face.
Melty Blood had a bigger impact. You didn't play M-Back. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know about it. You don't know nothing about that.
I gave you the qualifiers, motherfucker. I don't care. I don't care about your Discord fighter. Hold my nuts. But yeah, tell us which generation you like the most.
Demon Bride isn't going to show up again. Stop saying it. If they re-release a Demon Bride game, I'm going to lose my mind. But yeah, let us know in the comments. Sound off on any guest characters for a future topic. We have it lined up, so we want to hear your thoughts, and maybe we'll include it.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely do that one because I want to have that conversation. I think it's a really fun conversation.
There's
Definitely the next major FGC topic I think we will get into is the guest character, like the broad statement of the guest character, who's done it right, who's done it wrong, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Because obviously a big deal with Clive coming out, and I just think this generational conversation maybe hit a little bit harder at the moment, but maybe even in the next one, who knows? If things are continuing the way that they are, maybe the next one we just run this guest character topic.
Yeah. Well, with the holidays here, January's around the corner. Everybody have happy holidays. Look out for the LTA starting very soon. We'll be back on with that.
God. January's gonna be fun, man. We
January's
get to
a
talk
fun-
about LTA starting. We
Yes,
get to talk
sir.
about champs for Apex.
Yes,
Ooh,
sir.
Baby.
You're eating good, man. You are eating so
I mean,
good.
it's so good. January, I'm back. We're so back, dude. Gundam's out. Oh, dude, January, we're so back. It's my year, guys.
I'm excited to see how. I mean, with Gundam and all that, I'm excited to see how Mecha Break kind of shapes up as an esport. It's a little low key, but I'm kind of invested.
Definitely low key. I agree with you that we should. I'm trying to run that game. Yeah, that game
is sick. That game is so sick. I'm terrible at it though. I can't I'm getting killed by stuff that I don't even know what half those things do.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
It's gnarly. It's great. But yeah, we will.
But yeah.
We'll probably take a little hiatus for the holidays. Things gotta. We'll see what we do.
No, absolutely. Expect us back in January, 100%.
Yeah.
Next episode will be Jan.
Be back in January.
We got big shit in Jan for sure.
So, take care. Phase up. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned. Hotkeys Esports, hottest esports podcast on the planet. I have been Dobon.
And I've been Prater. And yes, reiterating from the intro, I had the Score Esports app when it told you times and scores and actively updated for games.
Yep.
Before the streamer bullshit. Before they just became the streamer gossip rap.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was watching TI on that.
I would check at work when fucking LCS games were on, and it would tell you kills, time of game.
It was way more tailored to League of Legends. I'll tell you what. That Dota section was bare bones, buddy. It was like, dude, it had games from 6 months ago still queued up on it, and I'm like, this tournament happened. The current tournament, Star Ladder's happening. You don't have Star Ladder on here.
The best part is when you went in, it would be like, what games do you like? And I'd be like, yeah, I like League of Legends. I like CS. And it would be like, hey, this is the current CS game going on. Fucking, this is the map. This is the kill score. It was sick. And now it's just another streamer gossip rag. And you know what's not one of those? Hotkeys Esports. Keep it locked. We'll see you in January.
See you, Jan. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.